Hello and welcome to episode 215 of the Round Nintendo Podcast. I'm Jason.
I'm Angel.
God, I'm Kevin.
For a second I thought I was all alone, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm looking at two people, but no one's talking. It's like, are you real? Are you here? Anyway, this episode is called, Who You Gonna Call? Which I realize is a total cop-out for a game about ghosts, but Luigi's Mansion stole all the good names. Like, they have all the puns. They have Scarescraper, they have Scream Party, they have Virtual Boo,
You had 2 weeks to come up with a name.
2 weeks, I couldn't. Luigi took the good puns, so who you gonna call? You can't go wrong with Ghostbusters.
You had 2 weeks.
What would you recommend we call it?
I mean, I'm not the guy that comes up with the titles.
You could be. You could have that power.
Oh man, that's so much responsibility. Honestly.
Exactly.
How much effort did you put into this title versus other titles?
I had a brainstorming session over lunch of what titles to use. And
when did you have this lunch?
Like 2 hours ago. And that was after 2 weeks of not being able to come up with anything. So here we are. But anyway, we're calling it this and running with this because Luigi's Mansion 3 is out, and we're going to have impressions here on the show, along with the just shadow dropped out of nowhere Nintendo published a new co-op game called The Stretchers, and early thoughts, I guess you could say a preview, if you will, of The Outer Worlds, which will come to Switch in first quarter of next year. But Kevin, you've already sort of been dabbling in it through other means.
Yeah, we won't talk about the means, but
just the game. But yeah, so yeah, we're gonna have all that, and in many ways, even with all that, I feel like the word of the show is actually kind of update, because we're covering a lot of them. There's the update of Smash Bros. To 6.0 with Terry and all the corresponding content. There's the update to Overwatch. That's both a whole new sequel and a pretty major enhancement of the first game. There's the update on how Nintendo's doing business-wise via their financial report, and an update on Nintendo's plans to make, well, more updates in the style of Link's Awakening. They're talking about how they could do other remakes. We're going to talk about that too. Okay. So there's a lot. That was weird.
Well, you said like more updates in the style of Link's Awakening. I'm like, wait, Link's Awakening's had updates?
Like an updated version of it.
Oh, and then you got me excited, but then you brought me back down.
That's what I do. But anyway, timestamps for all those things are available over at randomtail.com. But for the sake of just, or if you're on YouTube, it's under the video. But for the sake of just organizing things, let's just go most recent to oldest. We're reverse chronological here. Let's start with Smash Bros. Since that's probably the newest update Nintendo has done. It's out. 6.0 is out. Terry Bogard is playable. Resident Smash Bros. Expert Angel, what are your thoughts?
I mean, he's definitely one of those, if you cared about SNK back in the day, it's cool. If you don't, he's just Ken with a hat. But
no, well, he has. I mean, does Ken have as many like extra moves? Like, I know they have combos,
yes.
but Terry's the only one that has both two side Bs.
Yeah, they both basically do the same thing. They both fly at you.
Well, yeah, that's true.
He's design-wise, he's not that like exciting. He's just not really an exciting character to look at, and that just kind of goes for any generic person character, like
human.
Yeah, like I mean, yeah, like he starts to blend in with like the other people, like the swordsmen and the Ryus and the Kens, and I feel like that probably makes like Joker the most interesting looking one, because at least he has like a mask,
baby.
I mean, the cape makes him look like
Persona.
The coat like makes him look like pretty badass. But
okay, were you reading the room there and purposely calling out Joker just for that to happen?
No, just like
okay. That's why to make sure that you didn't like mislead Kevin into a false sense of fandom there from you.
Because I mean, like, what have we had so far for the DLC? We had like
Joker.
Baby. We had Joker.
It's like a soundboard.
Then we had Hero, which, I mean, design was like, I mean, after so many people with a sword, I mean, he's not that exciting.
Yeah.
Then we have Banjo, who
it's great.
Has his own look to him. Like, whether you knew who Banjo was or not, he looks
and Kazooie. Don't forget Kazooie.
Yeah, he looks pretty unique and just looks.
Sure.
He's really interesting to look at.
Sure.
Then you just have Dude That Punches. But all that aside, though, he brings along like a lot of the same mechanics that Ken and Ryu have, like facing the same direction, cancel your own moves into other moves. But in his case, like, even though he doesn't have like a focus attack, absorb a hit, deal a lot of damage, he's pretty much like my first Lucario. Like, Lucario, like, the more damage you take, the more power you build up.
Mm-hmm.
But Lucario, I feel, takes a lot more effort to like keep him alive, and because a lot of his moves like aren't that great for starting off, and he's harder to combo off of. Like, you actually have to really know where your opponent's flying, know the real all the inputs, and get your consecutive hits down pat. It's a lot more difficult for Terry. Like, he has a lot of much easier combos due to the nature that he can cancel out into his other hits. Like
in mid animation.
Yeah, in mid animation. Like just the fact he could go like A, like his neutral A attack has 4 hits, and you could cancel out of that neutral A attack into his stronger, like power dunk, which does like after all said and done like 40 damage, which is a lot for anything that you can get off of just a neutral A attack. Because the neutral A attack means your fastest attack is just a quick jab. So if he lands any jab on you, that's already like another 40% damage on you. And not to mention, once he reaches 100, like Lucario, like he gets a little stronger every time. This guy, he just gets to 100 and he just gets 2 moves that he could just keep throwing out and combo into.
And the game literally goes like, go do the thing. It literally says go next to him. Like, it's your time.
And just straight up kill you. Like, yeah, when I first used them, I mean, he definitely looks like someone that isn't the easiest to use, but I mean, just anyone with just any amount of interest in wanting to use them
can figure them out.
Yeah, like it's literally been one day, and I've already fought in Terrys that are so crazy good, or not. I guess.
Wait a minute, it's been one day. It's been out for like half a week.
Half a week?
We came out on like Wednesday or Thursday. It's Saturday.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess it's been a week. Well, I guess it's only felt like it's been a day. Yeah.
Time flies when you're punching dudes. I guess.
Well. Yeah.
Anyway, it's been very short time.
Yeah. Regardless, like within the week, people have already like, made Terry like a very scary force to be working with online. Like, he's not that really fun to fight. But
I will say you definitely need to like be okay with doing combos to maximize his use. Like,
yeah, but that's also like
I don't like doing the whole stick combo stuff like Street Fighter or King of Fighters style or Fatal Fury
it's a
style.
Really high reward though. Like if you do it,
yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of like Joker. Like if anyone just picks him up, like you probably won't get that much out of him. But if you put the time in, he's also like scary to fight against. But
I do like his cartwheel kick. Terry, not Joker. Joker doesn't have one, but I do like that secondary side B. I don't know why. It's very satisfying to do.
The stage looks cool, and I like that there's Metal Slug music thrown in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I think the most interesting thing to me about Terry is not Terry, but is everything that came with Terry, like all the the other SNK stuff that happened around Terry. Like I think the stage is really cool. The King of Fire Stadium, like the fact that I don't know if there's another stage that's done anything like this, but they had, the unique idea of their walls, and you can sort of shatter through the walls on the side.
That was really Smash cool. First.
Yeah. What?
He did say that was a Smash first.
So I guess there we go. Thank you, Angel and Sakurai, for confirming. But no, I think that's like a really cool mechanic, and it makes it feel more like the stage design itself is pretty, not run of the mill, but it's not super special. But the concept of having the walls makes it really interesting.
I mean, the closest thing we've had to that was Snake Stage and Brawl, because that's literally the same thing.
Yeah, a little. It's similar.
The only thing is that you can just straight up attack the walls and destroy them, but in this one, they can only get destroyed once you've damaged. But they still present the same problem that walls always present, and that's just having someone in the corner and just like bouncing them back and forth and
I've seen a video on Twitter of a guy who set up one of the pinball bumpers about halfway up by the wall and was comboing the guy off the wall into the pinball bumper, and then it ricocheted him back to the wall and then back to the guy, and it was like kind of this like triangle that kept forming until the wall shattered.
I mean, I'm sure it'll make for a lot of cool looking combos, like for combo contests and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, like that one, for example.
Yeah. I mean, still a cool stage. I mean,
yeah, it's a cool, and I think like
something nice to rotate between the other Omegas and whatnot.
Right, and this one doesn't even need it doesn't even need to be that different from form to form, because it's pretty much flat no matter what. Yeah. It's just if the walls exist, essentially.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, like, I think the interesting thing about the stage is it probably has the most fan service of any of these stages that have come out lately. Like, yeah, okay, so Banjo-Kazooie's like, there's like 4 characters and it's Spiral Mountain, so if you know Spiral Mountain, cool. But this one's like a who's who of SNK people in the background, except
who's who of the fighting game.
Yeah, except
I mean, I did not see the Bubble Bobble people or
a who's who of the fighters. You're right, and then the music's a who's who of the fighters plus some of the other action games like Metal Slug, like you said.
Yeah,
but it's crazy. They did, like there's no. The one exception is there's no Maya.
I think her name is Maya.
Yeah,
Maya, because we're all good boys and girls and don't get to have sexualized.
I'm a very bad boy.
Which wasn't even the actual translation, apparently.
So in Japan, it was saying it's for good children or something. And here,
in Japan,
they went on to explain it was the rating, but he also said the phrase for good children or for children, something about children. So Nintendo riffed on that a little. But yeah, basically, the reason we don't actually have her is because in Japan, if they put her in, the rating of the game would go up a level, and Nintendo did not want to do that, obviously. So, yeah. But the music, like 50 songs, like that's crazy.
That's really dope.
Yeah, considering like Final Fantasy had 2.
Yeah, just 2.
And
not even
Castlevania had the record.
And not even One Winged Angel, which is nuts. But
yeah, it's just like if you look at how much SNK love there is, like all
like
the music.
Square just that stingy with their music, and Square and I guess SNK that lenient.
I think it's a mix of that, and like if you look at all the SNK love that went into this, like all the music, the 20 plus characters or the 20 characters in the stage background, like I think
so much was dedicated.
I don't think Square's that stingy though. They put all their soundtracks on Spotify, so
yeah, I think
there must be some.
I don't think it's them. I think it's Sakurai. I think he cares a lot because like if you do that,
like why?
That's what I'm getting at. Like if you do that and then you go watch the presentation with Masahiro Sakurai, director of Smash Bros. He's a total SNK fanboy. That comes through so quickly.
So I think he doesn't really or care that much about
I think
Final
he went
Fantasy?
out of his way to put more stuff because he wanted more stuff. I mean, he went on a rant in his presentation about like how the NES ports of arcade games by SNK suck and how the Neo Geo ports are the good ones and Nintendo let that fly. And he goes on this whole thing about like this is the game you need to play, like really deep level, like you should play this version of the fighting game because of this and this version because of that and da da da. And I think he just
I thought that was like there's no way you could fill up 45 minutes and just talk about Terry.
Yeah.
And I guess he didn't, but he also talked about everything around Terry.
Yeah, he basically geeked out for 45 minutes, which is kind of cool to watch just to see like what he's passionate about. But I think that's why there's 50 songs is he was like, I love SNK, I want 50 songs. While with Square, he's like, hey, you guys want to give us a few songs too? Cool, that works. But he probably fought for the 50, if I had to guess. Because, like Castlevania, they have 17, which is an odd number, but I'm sure Konami's like, what if we gave you these 17? Because, I think he said in the presentation, he presented a whole list of songs expecting SNK to be like, and then he would just let it be. But then they were like, oh, you're into it, we're into it, and just gave him all of them. So yeah, there's some of SNK just being generous, but there's also, like, I definitely think it's Sakurai being a fanboy. But, I mean, I actually really liked that video presentation. Like, it was a little long, we don't need that much detail, but I enjoy watching Sakurai nerd out, and I enjoy watching his staff laugh every time he kind of says something that Nintendo probably doesn't want him to say, but Nintendo's nice enough just to let it ride, because they know it's Sakurai. Like, there are so many little moments where it's just like, is Nintendo okay with that? Like him saying that Neo Geo is better than NES and all that, and just like the whole staff kind of cracking up. Like I thought that was kind of funny. I don't need the level of detail where he spends 20 minutes talking about saying the word Hadouken over and over and over and over. But the rest was pretty good. I mean, Kevin, you're shaking your head. You thought it was too much?
Yeah, this is my third episode in a row that I'm going to say this. Stop doing this. Just release whatever you're going to release.
Well, good news for you. Later,
then
we'll
again,
talk
like
about the stretchers, which they released with no warning.
Yeah, but then again, like this isn't made for me. I'm not a hardcore Smash player, so I'm sure there's people out there that did appreciate 45 minutes of
Sakurai.
It makes sense. I mean, it was also aired at 5 a.m. Obviously, because it aired. That's just the time that it just corresponded with in Japan. Yeah. But I mean, if they really cared, they would have tried to push for a more normal time here too.
But even now you could watch it.
I know, no, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's like watch it if you want, or you could just wait for later that day.
Yeah, like I didn't watch it till that night because like I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. for Sakurai to nerd out about SNK. As much as I enjoy watching it, I can wait till 7 p.m. or whatever. But
I did.
Yeah, was it worth it?
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. There's the audience that tunes in.
Like
there you go.
I'm not the target demographic.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I'll be honest. Like when he got into the real nitty gritty, I was just kind of like, "What?" And like my eyes kind of glazed over a bit. But like, it was. There's an audience for it. It had 600,000 views within 12 hours. There's definitely an audience for it. But I do think there are a couple other things in the Smash update, like quality of life stuff. Anything noteworthy, Angel? Like they did some battle arena tweaks.
I mean, battle arena tweaks, like, yeah, that's cool. Like, if you're playing with friends and you just want to switch up the rules halfway through, but the way most people play in arenas, they just play one-on-ones, and they just have one-on-one set up, so it's like nothing happened. Right. And then, now you could sort for arenas that are asking for people that are in Elite, but there is no way for the game. The game does in no way check if you're actually in Elite. You could just join any arena anyway.
Wait, what? So how do they weed out?
You just have to hope that the majority of people you get, it's like,
are honest and truthful.
Yeah, because they have like for everybody, for veterans, for glorious smashers, and now they have for elite. Mm-hmm. So typically you do kind of see the skill change between those, but every once in a while, like you do find a few people that go like, yeah, you probably shouldn't be in this one, otherwise you're not gonna have a great time.
Right. So they're hoping people will kind of regulate themselves because they want to have fun.
And yeah, but overall, though, like I feel like veterans is usually where you find the hardest people, even though it's below glorious. And even now with elite, I still found better people on veteran.
That's interesting. Is that just like?
But maybe that's just this week. I don't know.
Yeah, that's I try to figure out why that would be. Unless they're just like, well, I know this section works for me. Why would I leave? And then no one leaves because everyone else has the same.
Yeah, there's
assumption.
like barely any rooms in Elite last I checked, but
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, but even then, no, like I didn't find that part that much interesting. I mean, the most interesting thing was just that they buffed like the heck out of all the low tier characters, like to the point where now they're probably like really, really like good or high tier characters, which is kind of nuts because Jigglypuff never got a buff whatsoever, and now like I don't know, maybe that's why they didn't buff her because now no one's gonna want to like play her whatsoever.
I did see a funny tweet where it's like, wow, Sakurai gave us so many new characters and riled off all the characters that now are like good. It's like, oh wow, look like King K. I
mean,
this huge list.
You've played Smash Bros. Enough to know what is a low or high percentage to die off of, right?
Relatively, I think.
So before, like Jigglypuff would have to like land a rest at like around 70 to kill you.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't really be able to combo into the rest in any way.
Yeah.
Now she could combo into it at 30 and kill you.
Sorry, what?
Or combo into it like at 10% or less.
That seems...
It's pretty much like...
extreme.
It's like we have melee Kirby again.
Yeah.
And melee Jigglypuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and same thing with like King K. Rool, Incineroar, and Kirby. Like they all got so many buffs. And
I'm from a Kirby gang buff.
That's all. Those are all the characters you fight right now online, and it's frankly kind of annoying because they're all just like obnoxious.
Well, don't worry. When they do the next update, they're gonna reconfigure everything again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad they're just buffing people instead of just nerfing people. Like,
yeah.
Don't make people worse. Just make everyone else better. That way, everyone has a broken
Lift
character.
Up. Take the high road. Yeah, but it's there was one thing in the update I was kind of surprised I never knew existed. Well, first of all, side note, Akira from Virtua Fighter. I love how they made the Mii Fighter actually polygonal like the old Virtua Fighter art.
That's how he was in the Wii U.
I didn't remember that. Nonetheless, I still love it. But no, what I was going to say is I had no idea that there were custom spirit boards for DLC. They've never mentioned that before. I've never seen that in the menu.
I'm surprised because you're the only one that cares about spirit boards.
I know. That's why I'm like, wait, what? Like, he's like, oh, we added one for Terry, and also, and then he loads up the screen. It's like Banjo and Hero, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, I didn't know they had their own like custom ones you could.
You
go
must have been like, hot dog. I have a reason to boot that game up now.
I sure was, because you know me and the phrase "hot dog," which I say never. But yeah, so that was kind of a nice surprise. But yeah, I'm sure they're. What I was gonna say is, I'm sure they're gonna reconfigure some of the characters. Although it does lead to the question of
they're making the rounds. I'm sure they'll get around to. They're probably gonna hit Joker again.
It does lead to the question of like, so we're at the point where we have one more character left in the first fighter pass. They're gonna do a second one. They've already announced, but we have one more character left. This is the first time in a while they have not teased the next character. But Sakurai did make an interesting comment where he was saying it's about how they play, not who they are. Like, it's not about how famous the character is.
So it's going to be someone no one cares about.
That's what I'm thinking, but then at the same time, Nintendo's the one telling him which characters to use for DLC. Like, they gave him a list to pull from. So unless Nintendo themselves would...
You have one prediction, go.
I don't know. I was hoping you guys would go first and I could think about it.
You go first, go.
Well, everyone's talking about Doom Guy.
No,
I don't think it's going to be Doom Guy.
Ask for your prediction, not their prediction.
I know. I'm buying time. I don't know. Can I tell you when I think it's going to happen?
No. Why? Game Awards.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay, yeah. Like, and anyone with a brain can tell you that.
Right. Well, maybe someone doesn't have a brain, so now they're enlightened.
All right. But enough stalling.
I know. Man, my political maneuvering isn't really working here. I think it's going to be... I have no idea.
Norman Reedus from Death Stranding.
Damn. Now that's
Will he bring the little baby
that's my
thing
vote.
with him?
Yeah, of course.
And then we're just gonna...
That's his projectile.
That people are gonna think that we're gonna get the game, but then we're actually just gonna get some sort of mobile-esque game that's just...
Some spin-off game?
Yeah, it's like a spin-off.
What do you...
I wasn't serious about that prediction.
I feel like we have to talk about it. Like, I'm buying time for my answer, yes, but I feel like we have to talk about it.
All right,
Death Stranding's the thing in gaming right now. Like, what... Anyone have any thoughts on this thing? Like, what is going on with this game?
Excuse me. I still haven't played it. I might buy it next week when I get paid.
Angel?
I've seen snippets of gameplay. It looks interesting. I didn't realize balancing yourself while running was going to be a whole meta.
Is it really?
Because you're like a courier of some sort. You're like UPS, from what I've gathered.
Which explains why it's a bit of a walking simulator.
But you can like stack your inventory like in as high as you want, but you also have to figure out like a nice balance of it, because as you're running you have to literally lean left and lean right so you don't tumble over, and if you fall too many times your car goes to damage and then you fail that.
How big of a part of the game is this?
It's the entire part. Wait,
the premise of the game is you're a courier?
Yeah.
That carries a baby too,
Yeah.
and you have to lean into
you
your
also have
running.
to lullaby the baby. Apparently,
I mean, it gets deeper than that, but like the basic premise is you're traveling across America delivering packages.
We're literally, just so everyone that's listening understands what's going on, we all turned around, stared at the TV behind us where the baby from Death Stranding is being rocked to sleep or something. I don't really know. And now a ladder is being climbed. Riveting podcasting right here. No, but yeah, I don't like... I mean, I know the game's hype because of who's involved with it, obviously, but...
What is the last Kojima game that came out on a...
Nintendo system?
and a console.
Snake Eater 3D?
Snake Eater 3D on 3DS is probably it. Before that, he also did Boktai on Game Boy Advance, the solar-powered game, which is really great. I actually have that.
But probably after that was...
and
Kid
he
Wait,
did-
Boktai came out before Twin Snakes? Or after?
Around the same time, maybe.
Huh.
But also Twin Snakes was the other one I was going to say. But yeah, Boktai was cool. I really like Boktai. That was an interesting idea.
Yeah.
And it, like, because it had some of the, like, 2D Metal Gear stealth stuff, but it also had this whole sun system, which was really interesting because it got you to kind of, like, it was kind of like the first pass at Pokemon Go, where Pokemon Go's like, you have to go out in the world and do stuff. And this one's like, I mean, you don't have to walk, but you do have to go outside and, like, be in nature and be in the world. But yeah, I think those are the last ones. He hasn't done anything with Nintendo for a while. Oh, well, I guess Snake and Smash.
Yeah, pirates hate that game because you don't get the solar reader with it.
Yeah, that's why you gotta buy legit.
Pirates hate this game.
But
I have
anyway,
the game, but I can't play it.
to answer your question about who
Fifth
might
character.
show up in Smash, my guess.
That was your question. That wasn't his.
No, he posed it to
You
me.
posed it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I posted it to him.
My guess,
mind.
truthfully, at this point, is Crash or Spyro. Or actually, no. Wait.
No,
Here's a
no.
twist. Lara Croft. She's Square Enix, so we know they're on good terms. She is an icon of the 90s
She'll
gaming
be
era.
polygonal.
She'll be, I don't know if she'll be the polygonal one, but I think it's going to be her because she represents the whole era of gaming, and it'd be another kind of like, wait, what, in the same way that
Well,
some
there
other
hasn't been a
PlayStation
female
characters were. And there haven't been a new female at all in the DLC yet.
But I feel like
Well,
Lara
I guess
Croft
Kazooie is
was
a female.
never really relevant. I mean, I guess Snake wasn't relevant to
Cloud was
Nintendo.
barely relevant. Joker's
Yeah,
barely
but,
relevant.
But you shut your mouth on that one.
To Nintendo. He's barely relevant to Nintendo.
I
Hey,
mean,
he has
he's
a
on
3DS
Yeah,
game.
he has a 3DS game. Shut your
Eventually.
shut
And
your
Lara
mouth.
Croft has
No,
two
what do you mean
Wii...
eventually? Labyrinth Q? Or
Yeah. And Lara Croft has 2 Wii games, so what's the problem? And I think a GameCube one, so...
Wii games that were probably trash.
Actually, they made a custom one for Wii that
Oh,
had motion
Angel of
control.
Darkness on the GameCube, also trash.
Don't talk about that one. No, there was one called just Tomb Raider, and it was like a reboot, but it was for Game. Wow, I keep saying GameCube for Wii, and it had motion control.
Really?
Tomb Raider? Mm-hmm. Tomb Raider, the reboot by Crystal Dynamics.
No, not that reboot. It was a different reboot.
Wait, when did what?
I have it sitting at home. I got it. So Square Enix shares an office space with me, like they're the building next to us, and they used
Tell
to do
us
a
again
sale.
for the 60th time
Yep.
on this podcast.
Yep. And then, so guys, I'm neighbors with Square Enix. No, but they do.
What do I do with
They
that?
used
Nothing.
to
Hold on,
do,
hold
no,
on.
they
I
used
need-
to
I need-
do.
I need to hear
Hold
that.
on, they
I need to
used
see
to
what
do
game
a
this is.
winter sale every year where they do like clearance right after Christmas, and they put a bunch of their old games in there. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
bought this
I
Tomb
got-
Raider for Wii game, which I have yet to
That's
play.
right.
But I have it.
told you to
And it was
get
like
me Tomb Raider
$6.
for PS3, PS4.
And I did, I think.
Yeah, I still
But yes,
have it.
Tomb Raider
Still
Wii is a
sealed.
real game.
in its wrapper.
Anniversary, that's what it's called. Tomb Raider Anniversary for Wii. Yes. Also, Tomb Raider Underworld was on Wii. But Tomb Raider Anniversary is a console exclusive. Is a Wii. It was on other systems, but the Wii version included console exclusive motion controls.
I bet
So-
you they weren't great.
Probably not, but she has history on the platform at the same level, if not more, than say Joker.
But I feel like
I guess more than Snake at this point.
More than Snake.
I'm not gonna say anything.
What are you gonna say? Go ahead.
Well, first you stop talking dirty about my boy. Second of all, I feel like those games are like completely irrelevant to the legacy of anything Nintendo related. At least like Joker is getting a scramble.
What about Cloud?
I mean,
theater rhythm,
Cloud
and that's
is
it.
Cloud is a Nintendo character.
No, he's not.
Oh wait, you're talking about
Cloud,
my
like
bad.
Final Fantasy.
I don't know why
Cloud.
I was thinking Fox McCloud.
Dude, Fox, obviously. There's no way you will never in a million years see me diss Fox. I love Star Fox, but yeah. So I don't think Lara Croft's that crazy, and it would be kind of one of those like whoa moments for the nostalgia factor and all that. It's like that's my guess.
Unless
He wanted a wild one out of left field. I feel
Unless-
like I gave
Yeah,
it to
I
him.
mean, I'm not gonna criticize it because I mean it's a guess, and I got what I wanted. Yeah.
Who do you guys?
I
Well,
don't
who do you
know.
guys think? Who do you
I
think's
don't know.
more reasonable?
Jim
then?
Carrey's interpretation of Eggman. I don't know. It's like, at this point, it could be anybody. I would have said Minecraft.
Shadow.
I would have said Minecraft Steve, but I feel like Banjo's inclusion in it makes that a little bit less
Yeah,
of a
I think you're
possibility.
right.
I kind of want Crash in it just because to me he's still like the original like PlayStation mascot, so I think that'd be cool for him to be in there.
And Crash is having a big moment. I just was reading the other day, so Crash Team Racing obviously is on all the systems.
Is an awesome game.
Here's the interesting thing: just last week they have filled out the roster of Crash Team Racing to include every Crash character from any of the trilogy ever, and it's a bigger number of characters in that game than Mario Kart 8 has now.
Yeah.
So they're still pumping.
It also has Spyro in it.
Yeah, and they're still pumping out DLC frequently, and it's like they're building a whole like game as service out of it, kind of. So like him in it from like a marketing side would make total sense.
Yeah.
More so than Lara Croft, honestly.
My money would be on him, but I would also like for them to throw like another curveball, like an even more of a curveball, and just like put Waluigi.
Rusty from Rusty's Real Deal Baseball. Is that what you mean?
And just put Waluigi in it because at this
that'd
point
be good.
Because at this point people
wouldn't they have to remove his trophy?
That's fine.
Yeah. They could do that, or they could just keep it in there.
Actually, that's what
I thought they care at this point.
I mean, if they did Waluigi,
because I feel like most people at this point are expecting it to be a non-Nintendo character, because it was never said they would be, but it's just kind of what they have been.
I think honestly, if they do Waluigi, I don't think he'd be fighter number 5. I think they do a sort of Piranha Plant style in between DLC.
Oh, like the free one you get.
Yeah, so to promote the new Challenger Pack, they throw everyone a bone with the free character.
That is pretty fitting, and
something.
He does kind of feel like he would fit that.
He is basically a human Piranha Plant, so like,
well, I mean,
I don't know what that means, but it sounded right.
I mean, he does have a pet Piranha Plant that has pretty much that one.
Yeah,
the one that made it in Smash.
Yeah, so that's but I think Waluigi's not bad. Doom Guy, I know, is one the internet wants, but I don't think that's going to
Doom Guy? Oh, man, that one's tough.
Doom does now have a pretty close connection to Nintendo.
I mean...
It always had, but now even more so.
Before Doom, whatever this new one is called...
Eternal,
I didn't really know what he could really bring that would be exciting, or that isn't just more shooties.
Shooties?
Yeah, just people that shoot.
Yeah,
because, I mean, there's enough people that do that, and it's not really a fun character to play against, but he does have that melee aspect to him. And I guess
maybe like a chainsaw, just saying.
Yeah, but
Leon.
I mean, the new grappling hook could be interesting if that's implemented.
Man, it could be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I know Resident Evil. I would.
Jill Valentine would be cool.
Nemesis.
I mean, basically because they've added pretty much like everyone I would have. I know at this point, yeah, we all got like our quote unquote dream characters in there.
Yeah.
Just pulling the stars. Like, I would love to see like a Monster Hunter rep. I mean, we already have like Rathalos in there, but
do the cat.
Yeah. I was gonna say do a Palico. That'd be like what Smash Bros. Would do instead of putting a hunter. Because I mean, the Palicos at this point they're like full on hunters. You could play as them.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be perfect. Or and if you do something for Resident Evil, I feel like it has to be like Tyrant or Nemesis or hopefully not Mr. X because he's not as exciting looking. But
it's gonna be Jill Valentine. You know, it's gonna be a zombie dog.
Actually, I guess it could be Jill.
It could be Jill.
Work, yeah.
Jill would be really cool. Plus, you already have sort of a moveset that you could use from her from Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That's the last
Speaking
one
of,
she was in,
they could do Phoenix Wright and use the moveset as well.
I know. I give up on Phoenix Wright. I would love that. I would love him for him to be in there. I mean, he has like 6 games.
He's random, and they're all on Nintendo, and he got started on Nintendo, but he's random enough.
His most recent games are still Nintendo exclusives.
Yeah, and he's random enough in terms of like out of left field that could work. Because I feel like Sakurai loves doing 2 things. He loves doing complete and total fan service to an extreme, and he loves doing like the most absurd character, like the Duck Hunt dog and Bird, and like and Rob, and like he has this duality to him.
I feel it was brilliant how he was portrayed in Marvel vs. Capcom.
How did they actually do that? Did he have did he have like a desk and stuff? I seem to remember him having like a desk on wheels. Am I crazy?
No.
What am I thinking of?
No, he just walks around. He doesn't throw out any punches. He just like pulls out paperwork, and that's like an attack. As he's reading it, that's an attack. He'll throw the paper at you. He'll sneeze. He'll like crouch down. But the most interesting thing about him, which is something that I feel like if that didn't exist and he was in Smash Bros., they would have done the exact same thing. Essentially, he has 3 phases. He has his investigation phase, his trial phase, and his objection phase. Which the fact they put that in a fast-paced game like Marvel vs. Capcom is like insane. So in the investigation phase, if you press like down and X, he'll like crouch down and search for evidence, and he'll pick up a random object. And if it's relevant evidence, it'll be highlighted yellow, and if it isn't, it won't be. And you could throw away the evidence if you don't want it, and he always prioritizes throwing away not relevant evidence. And once you fill up all your slots with 3 pieces of relevant evidence, then you could go into the trial mode where you could present that evidence, which is pretty much you like using your projectile.
Yeah.
So if the relevant evidence was like a phone, it would shoot like a homing missile. If it was like a knife, it would shoot like a splitter 3-way dagger thing.
This is extremely elaborate for a game as fast, like kind of what you're saying, for a game as like rapid fire as Marvel.
And his moves also like kind of change a little. Like in the investigation, he'll say "hold it," like when you does his side B equivalent. Like it's just a speech bubble, and if he hits you enough times with it, it'll make you dizzy because he's pressing you too much.
Yeah.
And then when he's in the trial mode and he has all the evidence, that's when he throws out his objection. And if he hits you with it, then he goes into his turnabout mode, and that's his theme song kicks in, and then where he would normally throw out objections, now it's just like a giant finger where he's just pointing at you that covers most of the screen. And then
sounds like Smash Bros. This sounds like something that'd be in Smash Bros.
And then his ultimate, which he could get you from anywhere, is just him presenting the evidence, like charging you for murder and proving it correct, and then you die.
So Phoenix for Smash.
Yeah, and that's where the death comes in.
Hashtag Phoenix for Smash.
And that's where the death comes in, because it's literally like they do the same animation, the cutscenes from the game. So like that's hands down like my favorite portrayal of a non-fighting game character into any kind of fighting game. Like
very elaborate.
Yeah, like it's nuts. Like they went out of their way and they made it.
That is like Sakurai level of like
and I feel like Smash would easily do something similar. Like yeah.
Well, it does kind of lead to a different question though. So whatever characters they add and whatever they do for like theoretically every character we said could be between the two fire passes a reality. Yeah. Like there's no question about that. But then the question becomes, so they do all this, and as Andrew, you said something before that kind of made me think this. You were like, we all got our dream characters, which is true. We pretty much all did. So, like, what happens?
Wait, who was your dream character?
Bowser.
I mean,
dream DLC character.
I mean, before Ultimate, it was a King K. Rool because I really, really wanted King K. Rool in it. Like, I don't know, just really, really love that character. And then like before King K. Rool was like Ridley, so.
So we all got our dream characters. You got multiple, it sounds like. And then you made a comment.
And then Banjo was in there after. It's like, well, I mean, like, he's the only other character I would want to see in there.
Yeah, and now that he's there. Yeah. And there's also been comments from...
That's why, like, I'm literally pulling at straws now. I was like, oh, man, I have to really think about, like,
what would I would never have said Lara Croft 5 years ago for Smash, but now it's like, I guess it makes sense. But, and on some level, maybe. But what I was going to say is... Kevin's giving me, like, winces. No, what I was going to say is, like, so we have you saying stuff like that, and us all kind of thinking it. We have Sakurai saying... the next Smash Bros. Won't have as big of a roster. So it kind of leads to the question, this is a question that gaming's facing in general with stuff like Overwatch and now Overwatch 2.
Oversaturation?
How do you do a sequel at a certain point? Like
not the way that Overwatch 2 is doing it.
Well, we'll get to that in a sec, but it's kind of like this ongoing thing that's happening in gaming is no one knows how to do sequels anymore. Like the idea of a sequel doesn't work when your game never ends. Like, if they keep doing DLC, what do they say for the sequel? If they do Overwatch and it's a game as service, what do they do for the sequel?
I don't necessarily agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially if a sequel is going to use a brand new engine, I feel like that's fine.
Sure.
Overwatch 2 is apparently using a brand new engine, and sure, the characters look different, and I think the art style looks just
it's slightly more real.
Slightly different. But their justification for making this a full-blown sequel is...
barely there. So do you want to fill everyone in real quick? So it is coming to Switch, Overwatch 2. That is confirmed.
5 years from now when it releases.
Yeah, all they did was go, it's coming, guys, and then sit tight till next BlizzCon or whatever. But do you want to fill people on, like, what is actually new in 2? Because to me it seems more like an expansion, maybe, than a full sequel.
So Overwatch 2 is going to be the sequel to Overwatch that has... that, like, right from the beginning has PvE elements to it. From what I can tell, it's got some sort of story mode that takes place... So Overwatch never really had a story.
Right.
Because it was just a competitive shooter. Shooter? Yeah, sure.
It's a shooter.
Yeah, we'll go with shooter.
It's a shooter.
Yeah,
it's not a Call of Duty shooter, but it's a shooter.
Yeah, so it was just an FPS that both sides could have. You could either have, like, an evil character... like evil, like within the lore, on the same team as like a good character. So never really
the whole
had
game
a
was
story.
not canon, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
But like Blizzard would sprinkle in every now and then some like PvE story content.
There's like the missions and stuff.
It was so it would use maps that had already existed, and they would just make like I guess like bots that you would have to fight like through waves and stuff like that. And every year it was called Archives, which you would play as a like fixed set of heroes and just go through like this mission. And personally, I've never been a huge fan of the PvE content in Overwatch. I know Elvis and another friend of the show, Matthew, they love the PvE stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, every now and then they had like seasonal content, like Halloween. I'm sure they did their Dr. Junkenstein, which is just like a wave mode.
Mm-hmm.
But this is
Some
supposed
of
to
those look
have
really fun. I never played them, but some of them look fun.
Yes. Like I said, I never got too into it. So this is supposed to have some sort of full-blown story.
It's like a co-op thing, right? Like
Yeah,
and
it's a
friends
co-op.
Yeah, well, you said PvE. So
Yeah,
but you and friends together go.
You and friends together, and from the gameplay that I was watching from like some of the streamers during BlizzCon, it looks the same as like the archive stuff.
Right.
I don't understand why this has to be a separate product away from Overwatch 2, and this is the reaction that I've seen from a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
They've stated that it's an engine change, but like I said, it looks exactly the same. Well, not exactly the same, but just slightly different. And then they're making some changes to the gameplay, how heroes work, where you get to choose like abilities and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Which, if you've played Overwatch, you know that every character just has like set abilities that you're not changing.
So they're giving them loadouts in a way.
In a way,
rotate.
yeah. In a way, I still don't know how it works, because apparently you can level up and choose like different stuff.
Oh, interesting. The thing that throws me off a little is you were saying, it's a new engine and it has this new mode, but they're dragging Overwatch 1 along with it.
Yes, so this reminds me a lot of what happened with Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, where eventually, if you had Left 4 Dead 1, you got all of the quality of life changes from Left 4 Dead 2.
Right.
And then eventually Left 4 Dead 2 just got all of the content from Left 4 Dead 1 into it. I don't know if all the Left 4 Dead 2 content eventually made its way into Left 4 Dead 1. But Blizzard is saying like, oh yeah, you'll be playing
Cross.
You'll be playing cross games, which is cool, but then why are you selling this entirely separate product?
It seems like it could be an expansion you should just buy and hook into what you already have. Like, they only put 2 on it. They could call it like story mode.
you can call it 2 and just make it like, hey, this is some $30 update. We'll just call it Overwatch 2.
That's sort of what they're doing. They're just charging $60, presumably, right? Isn't that essentially what they're
doing?
Yes,
but I'm willing to bet that this is a completely separate download.
It is, and they are. Exactly. And they claim they are adding a competitive mode, a new competitive mode called Push. But I don't know what that means.
But that mode is also coming to Overwatch 1.
Wait, what?
I do not understand what's going on here.
This is kind of my point about like you're gonna hit a wall where companies don't know what to do with sequels anymore. Because Smash isn't quite to the same extent because you could change the engine, you could change the
like
gameplay,
you said, like unless it's like a game with a narrative where it progresses the plot.
Yeah, it's like how you do this, because this is kind of the problem with games and services. I guess is like where do you reset? Because didn't Destiny do a whole reset?
Like as long as they're, usually sequels are created. For these kinds of games specifically, or in general, to improve on what didn't work and what could be expanded on. Because like the first time you make a game, like you're trying to see what works, you're not really sure where to go, and you keep building. And then I guess like you hit that point where you don't know where to go because you already, in theory, addressed everything. Then I guess that's when most people just start a new IP, I guess, or you just redo the whole game. Maybe that's kind of like when Grand Theft Auto went from being a top down to a third person, or like. But or like even you could look at like Splatoon to Splatoon. Even
2,
Metroid Prime.
as an
none of those
that.
are really sequels. Like going from Super Metroid to Metroid Prime.
But those games aren't games as a service.
I
think what he's getting at is like.
I guess like Splatoon. I guess.
Yeah.
Like Splatoon. Well, Splatoon they just cut off Splatoon 1 and we're like, guess what? Splatoon 2
didn't really feel.
But
like
it had the advantage.
It was a sequel in name, but to me it felt more like a.
But it had the advantage of it was a new piece of hardware it was on. So if you wanted to play Splatoon on this newer thing, you needed to get Splatoon 2. Overwatch, because it's in both. I don't understand. Like, it's weird. Smash Bros, presumably down the line, they'll make a new Smash, have whatever characters and they'll be on the Switch too, and if you want to play it, you can only play it on the Switch too, but I guarantee Ultimate in its form as it is now is going to live on how Melee has, because it's already, like, the cream of the crop. Like, how do they differentiate them besides just hardware? A lot of games and services won't or can't, because the hardware doesn't change.
So I feel like everybody who bought Overwatch, and Blizzard was very upfront, you buy this game, every piece of content that we release is going to be for free.
Right.
Sure, there are some skins that like you can only buy during a limited time, but usually that's for like charity or something like that.
Yeah, which is fair.
And so
there was a breast cancer one, right?
Yeah, the Pink Mercy. I never got it. It was a really nice skin, but then I felt bad that I was just like, I'm gonna pay $10 for the skin and not because of breast cancer.
Help fight cancer.
Yeah, they make you feel real bad about that. And so I'm sure everybody just assumed that Overwatch was going to be this thing that lives on forever without having to update it the same way that Team Fortress 2 does.
Right.
There still is no Team Fortress 3, not just because Valve doesn't know how to count to 3. But,
which they really don't.
But, like, TF2 was, like, constantly getting updates. Sure, they're not huge updates like this PvE content for Overwatch 2, but, you know, it's still there.
Yeah. And they can make the PvE stuff like DLC pack. It's kind of the... Like, I don't know.
And it's not even... Sure, you can do that DLC pack stuff, but like I said, we already got free PvE content before.
Right.
I beat the drum for... Destiny does it well where you will get your game automatically upgraded to the new version, but you will just be locked behind the paywall that is that expansion.
Right.
So everybody...
So how mobile games do it.
Sure. So, like, everybody... I'm pretty sure everybody who is now playing Destiny, whether they bought the newest expansion or not, when you start up Destiny 2, you will get the splash screen that says Shadow Keep.
Right.
Because that's the current expansion. I'm sure
that's
this
very
is similar
much...
to, like, every MMO before, but I have never played any MMOs.
And it's very much how, like, Fortnite did. Like, you're giving impressions last episode about Chapter 2, and it's just like, well, if you have Fortnite now, you have Chapter 2. Granted, it's a free play, so it's a little different. But just the idea of, like... the idea of, like, you turn on the game and it's the latest version.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
And Destiny, you know,
yeah.
Why not just update base Destiny to Overwatch 2? And if you want to pay for that content, sure. But, like, this possibly being a completely separate download. What am I kidding? This is definitely going to be a completely separate download. It just makes no sense to me.
I will give them credit that the director of Overwatch was doing this interview with Kotaku Australia, and he was explaining that they are... It was a hard pitch, but basically he was telling Activision, listen, we can't, or Blizzard, Activision Blizzard, you know, the higher-ups, that we can't just cut off Overwatch 1 and have all those players be stranded. We got to figure out a way to bridge it. But it does seem like the bridge they're doing, to your point, Kevin, is like the wrong one. Like, they could just expanded Overwatch 1 further instead of... Like, it's nice that they're conscious of the fact that they can't just leave people behind.
And Jeff Kaplan, the director, has always will always beat the drum for the players. So he's great. He's awesome.
Yeah. It seems like this was kind of like a bureaucratic, like, well, what if we kind of meet in the middle on the idea and do this? But it's a real thing. Like, this is a real problem. It's like how, you know, I feel like every few episodes are like games of services, so weird. Everything's so different. But, like, you know, last time we talked about, like, preservation, like, or we've talked in the past about preservation, like Fortnite, how you ever get back to the content for Fortnite 1. You don't. It's gone. It's weird. Like, games are ephemeral now. It's strange. And now it's like kind of the next level of it. Well, how do sequels work? Like, the concept of a sequel, the game industry's kind of redefining on the fly, which is interesting. Like, Smash is maybe the safest example because it's like, oh, they'll make a new Smash on a new system and that's that. But, like, games that bridge across, you know, now that we have crossplay and all that stuff, and, you know, when PS5 comes out and Xbox, Project Scarlet or whatever, I'm sure whatever Overwatch is there is going to play nice with the PS4 and Xbox One versions and the PC versions, and, like, it's just a weird new world. And I don't know if they quite figured it out. Because, like, I was reading this article, I forgot where, but basically 2K was talking about how they're sort of trying to deal with this with NBA 2K something, one
Whatever
of the 2Ks in China specifically, because they have a huge fan base for one of the 2Ks, and they need to update it, but they don't want to lose those fans, so they're actually having two parallel 2K games out over there. And like, they're going to keep supporting 20 or 19, but they're also going to come out with a new one. It's like no one really knows like how to handle sequels right now. And
that's why
really
I never understood why Madden just can't be a game that you buy and then yearly there'll be a huge update that pay $20 for it and you got updated rosters. Like, it just makes sense as a platform.
Or like FIFA on Switch. Remember the FIFA that came out this year for Switch is the Legacy Edition, where literally all they did was swap out the players,
the rosters.
Yeah, the rosters, but they kept all the same gameplay. Like, that's the old way of it how it worked. Like, if you make a sequel, you make a sequel. You press a new cartridge, you press a new disc.
And I keep saying that I don't understand why they do this. I do understand why they do this. It's money.
Yeah. Oh, totally. There is a gaming in general has always been a pretty like short-term game or short-term gain like industry. Like, they're always looking at how to make a quick buck. But the problem is now that we have everything instantly accessible and things can be updated on the fly and all that, it's letting publishers kind of run wild. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But the problem is, while they try and figure it out, all their games are being affected, for better or worse. Sometimes better. Like Fortnite doing the whole revamp and you just keep playing for free. That's cool. Like Smash having endless new characters to the point that we literally are running out of things we want in Smash. Like, that's kind of cool that we've reached the point where it's fulfilling everyone's dreams and everyone's wishes. But then you got stuff like this where it's just like, what? So yeah, it's a really weird situation, and it's something that like I can't think of a single period in gaming where there's like this much upheaval about just the concept of how games work. Because there's always like, oh, graphics get better, or oh, look at this new gameplay control option. But it's never like the concept of what is a game and how do you play it and how do you progress both through the game and through sequels. Like the product is different now. That's what's so strange to me. But I don't necessarily have an answer. I'm just throwing it out there. But it's Overwatch is kind of just like the what is it, the canary in the coal mine of this becoming a thing, like just like the thing where it's like, hey, here's the prime example of how this is so weird. But we'll see.
And they said that this was going to release on Switch.
Confirmed for Switch. Yeah. I've heard the current version of Overwatch on Switch is not the smoothest.
No.
But I've also heard that if you're someone who only owns a Switch, me, it's still good enough. It's just like if you have other options, you should take those other options. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean,
this game is also not releasing for another
like,
2
or 3
years.
At least. I was kind of surprised they announced it now. I mean, they were obviously doing it to build goodwill for the brand given recent events, but I'm kind of surprised they like put it out there so early.
Is Diablo 3 on Switch?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it came out 2 years ago.
Yep, and Diablo 4 is not coming to Switch.
Oh.
But Overwatch 2 is coming to Switch. At least not yet. They'll probably figure out a way. I mean, it's kind of like they say it's not, but then somehow will. For example, The Outer World, which you'll talk about later, on Switch, the developer didn't think it would work for Switch, and then some other developer came to it and was like, hey, we got it running on Switch, check it out, and pitched it to them. And they're like, oh, cool. It's like they never considered.
What was the other developer?
One of the ones that always do the Switch ports. I forgot their name, but you know, there's like two. It's not Panic Button, but there's like 2 or 3 that do
Iron
a lot.
Galaxy?
I don't think it was Iron Galaxy. I think it's one that starts with a V. Maybe it was Iron Galaxy. I don't remember, but yeah, they just kind of came and were like, we can do it, and like, oh, all right. So that's probably how Diablo 4 will eventually happen. Is someone in Blizzard will be like, we can do it. Kind of how Overwatch happened. For years, internally, they were trying to make it work on Switch, and then somehow it just one day clicked. So, but anyway, so yeah, we'll see what happens in the world of sequels, but it's certainly a weird time. It kind of brings us to our next update down the list. We have the update to Overwatch, the update to Smash, and the next one, this update's kind of a correction as much as it is new news. Last episode, you may recall we were talking about Switch sales here in the US and how the Switch Lite maybe isn't doing so hot because Nintendo didn't announce any numbers for it. Well, that was a misread completely on my part because we were wrong. Their Q2 financial report came out, and Nintendo provides... Virtuos. There we go.
Don't you feel silly?
I do feel
people
silly.
That did... Oh, Dark Souls Remastered.
Yeah, okay. There it is. Yeah, they've done ports.
I heard that was a fine port. So.
Yep, it's a good port, except they had some audio issues for a little while, but then they got over that, with a patch. So.
Cool.
But yeah, Switch Lite apparently is doing super well. Q2 financials came out, and they have sold nearly 2 million Switch Lites in 10 days flat. That's pretty good. 1.5
sold through or shipped?
I think shipped.
Okay.
1.95 million to be precise. And the most popular color was turquoise for anyone who needs to know, which it should be. That is the best color. So, listen, I had a turquoise Game Boy Color. It's the best Game Boy Color, so naturally it's the best Switch Lite color.
Are you enjoying your turquoise one?
I don't have a turquoise Switch Lite. I don't have a Switch Lite. But I'm saying it's good that turquoise... It's good the world recognizes turquoise is the best. Although yellow does look nice person. Anyway, the point is, when coupled with the regular Switch itself, which sold 2.85 million this past quarter, Switch is doing pretty great for Nintendo. It sold...
Pretty great.
It's pretty great, guys. It sold nearly 5 million... No, it sold 4.8 million units. That's 50% higher than what it did a year ago. That means Switch is now 41 million in lifetime sales worldwide, which helped Nintendo's sales rise 14% and their operating profit go up 25% year over year. So they're
the rich get richer.
Exactly. Yes. The 1%. No, but
capitalism, baby.
Right. But yeah, Nintendo. The point is, Nintendo's doing well right now. But what's of particular interest to me is that Switch Lite number and what that means. Because 2 million in under 2 weeks is, that's impressive if it was like a upgraded system or something. But this is not a refresh. This is a sidestep. It's not an actual enhancement in any way, and it's still selling well. Like that's noteworthy. Yeah. Thank you, Scooby. No, but that to me shows that there are untapped markets the Switch can still appeal to. And in the mind of Nintendo, it seems like there are 2 buckets that they're kind of looking at. So during their financial briefing, their president Shintaro Furukawa, he cited that their data showed a surprisingly even split between who's buying the Switch Lite, between people who are buying it as their first Switch and people who are buying it as a second system. And that split is 57% first time they're buying a Switch, 43% second system in their home. And where that becomes kind of more interesting is if you start matching that with regional data. Trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. I'm not just throwing numbers at you.
Dude, I can't wait.
Well, in the U.S.
Notice how he didn't say that we were in the financial quarter, that we were in Jason's.
Oh no, because I'm swerving us back out. You'll see.
You're swerving us back out.
This sneaky little.
This is a dip and then a return. But no, it's interesting if you start looking at the regional data because in the U.S. the Switch Lite sold 800,000 units in 10 days.
I'm sorry, what was the region?
Here, the U.S.
Okay.
And traditionally, the U.S. is a console-first market, right? Like, Japan's the one that's considered handheld first. In Japan, it sold 300,000 in the first 10 days. Here, it sold 800,000. Which kind of points to Switch Lite finding a legitimately new market, like a group of people to appeal that it can appeal to that the Switch itself didn't. Like, people who never had a Switch before, maybe they want specifically a handheld experience. Like, all this is pointing to there being a new piece of the Switch ecosystem that Nintendo needs to cater to. And the thing about that is that means the type of games Nintendo's going to pump out are actually going to change a little.
Uh-oh. And
that's why it's not a full Jason Sales Corner. So, let me go on. Because you could just be like, oh yeah, whatever. Switch Lite sold great, doesn't matter. But what happened is, when you have a whole, like, handheld only crowd, you kind of want to appeal to them, right? So that can have an actual impact on the type of games that come out.
I guess you would.
Like, up to this point, I mean, think about it. Up to this point, the Switch was arguably a home console first. The entire pitch was the type of game you play on your big TV over there, you can now go play anywhere out in the world over there. But based on these trends, and then Furukawa's own comments, it sounds like they're going to now come in with the other side of it too and say, well, what about the type of experience that's on a handheld? Can we up-res that to a TV? And it's already happened with Link's Awakening, right? And that sold in 10 days 3.13 million copies. And launched with the Switch Lite. And it was such a big enough hit for that Furukawa talked about in the briefing how Nintendo, like, they're not saying it's set in stone that they're doing this, but they may try and replicate that formula with other classic handheld games. There's no, like, directive within the company yet, but he said, nostalgia is a powerful tool, and then kind of talked about that, there's this proven market for handheld games getting a new life on the Switch Lite because the audience lines up and yada yada. So we may start seeing not just the console quality stuff, but the handheld stuff. And then the question becomes, how much resources do they put into each? Because you can only make so many games, and is that going to result in any sort of shift or not in terms of the type of games we see on the system? So that leads to my question, and I'm kind of curious, like, you guys cool with more handheld first style games? Like, because Link's Awakening is kind of like pocket size compared to Breath of the Wild. Like, I remember, Angel, when they announced the Link's Awakening remake, you were kind of bummed it was still 2D. You were saying, why didn't they do it like 3D like Breath of the Wild? That would have interested me more. But if they're saying this type of thing is a whole audience...
I was hoping, like, a remake, not a remaster.
Right, but if they're now saying they can just remaster handheld games and get a pretty big chunk of change...
Well, I mean, it's not bad, but I can't think of anything, honestly, off the top of my head that I would want. I can't even, honestly... I'm having a hard time thinking of first-party, like, Game Boy games.
Well, I think there's some that could...
Because I played a ton of... I played a lot of third-party stuff, even a lot of licensed stuff back in the day.
They don't have to do a remaster or a remake, but if you could just release Minish Cap on the Switch,
I was gonna say Oracle games.
Be great.
Use the exact engine Link's Awakening had. Just do the Oracles and Minish Cap and all that. Yeah.
Oracles make sense. Yeah.
Or like if you want to go beyond Zelda, like I could see him bringing back Wario Land. Like they had Wario Land Shake It on the Wii. Take that art style, apply it to the first 4 games, release them. I mean, it might be too small of a game to release individually, but they could do pairs of them, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Pretty easy way for them to make money. That won't necessarily like take away too much, I hope, from their like bigger budget games, because obviously they still have Xenoblade coming out, and they still have Metroid Prime 4, and
how's there still no WarioWare
game? World or Wario Land?
WarioWare.
Oh yeah, that's surprising considering the Switch has so many potential
like
gimmicks.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. They try. It's like 1-2 Switch was supposed to be the new WarioWare, and it didn't work. I mean, it sold 2+ million, but it didn't work.
Yeah, and I was one of those idiots that bought it.
I did not.
I'm kidding. You're not an idiot if you bought that game. Whoa.
Then.
Oh,
I thought that was an earthquake for a second. Can you imagine if we had an earthquake on air? That would have been fun times.
Yeah,
but it was not. It was a door. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying it's necessarily good or bad. I just think it's kind of interesting that we may start seeing them do like smaller scale games, and if that happens, what's that mean for the larger scale games? Because they can only produce so many things at once.
Well, I mean, they're working on Breath of the Wild too.
Yeah, but
they're working on Metroid.
Well, it's more like decisions. You're just repeating the games I said a minute ago.
I know, yeah, that's what it's like.
I'm just thinking almost. It's like, you have X number. It's the Link's Awakening situation. They announced the remake, and if this was a console, it'd have, 3D, okay, but because it's also handheld, they could get away with something like what they did, which I'm fine with. I enjoyed the game, and then charge $60 for it.
It's fine. I could just ignore them like I have been doing if they don't appeal to me.
Excuse me.
I mean,
right there.
Link's Awakening wasn't offensive enough. I didn't get it, and at this point, it doesn't seem like I'm ever going to play it. But if they do bring out something that looks interesting, then sure. That's exciting, I guess.
I mean, the kind of cool thing.
I'm excited for the potential. Yeah.
The thing I kind of like is I think it means less of perhaps what happened with Pokemon Let's Go, where that was a game that was handheld first. Pokemon Red and Blue, which has been released time and time again, and they tried to kind of consolify it. Like Game Freak said time and time again, it's a game designed to be played on the TV first. And, they had the Pokeball Plus accessory, and they had the motion control capturing, and they had, they really played that up. And I did like the game. It was a fun game. And the game did well for itself. It sold 11.28 million, which is more, that's in 1 year, that's more than Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire have sold in a faster rate than they sold. So, it's doing well as a Pokemon game, as a remake, even though it's kind of this weird tangent. But the point is, what's cool to me about Sword and Shield, which is a little more handheld leaning, because I'm tight,
thank you,
is it doesn't try to shoehorn in TV experiences like Let's Go did. It's console quality in terms of scope and breadth, minus the National Dex doesn't have that breadth, I guess. But R.I.P. Bidoof. But it's just I don't know. It's just it's still a console quality experience, but it's one that plays equally well on console and handheld. So the upside of them going this route, in my opinion, if Nintendo decides to lean all the way in on handhelds are important too. It means that we'll get games like Pokemon Sword and Shield, which doesn't necessarily have to shoehorn things in. But because Switch is still selling well, we'll still get our Ring Fits and our Labos and our Super Mario parties and all that. So it might be the right balance. I mean, we're already seeing Brain Age kind of jump to console.
It's what we expected, or I guess expected would happen when they inevitably got to the Switch. Because remember many, I don't even remember how many years ago, but at one point they moved over all their portable division. They merged the divisions. They're so they could work next to each other. And this is, I think, around the Wii U time.
Yeah.
So now it's all the games that we were getting at the rate for both systems. I mean, now we're getting them simultaneously.
Yeah.
I mean, have they announced a new 3DS game?
No. That's what's interesting. So 3DS is kind of dead and buried. I mean, it's not exactly dead and buried, but there was a report that came out that there were multiple 3DS games that have been canceled because of the 3DS's lacking sales. So apparently, Nintendo was going to make another Fire Emblem remake and was going to make a new Style Savvy game. And those are now shelved, and presumably, I would guess they would come to the Switch. Because, I was asking, we were talking about what games make sense for Switch, and I can rattle off a dozen that I'd like to see on Switch.
Do it.
Okay, not a dozen, but I can rattle off some.
Two.
Donkey Kong 94. That would be cool on Switch. They could have a side mode with the minis, but go back to the old Mario versus Donkey Kong formula. Do that in HD. Sell it at $20 or $30.
I guess that's definitely one I would love.
That'd be cool.
Even though, never mind.
What are you gonna say?
Did you say 94?
That's what it's called. Donkey Kong 94
it was basically it was basically March of the Minis 1.
Oh, okay.
It was before the minis marched. Essentially, they could even call it Donkey Kong before the minis march, because all the other games are minis march again, minis march this way, minis march that way. But that'd be cool. What were you gonna say though? It sounded like you're gonna
no. Well, because I was gonna say that. I guess they kind of. There's probably a reason why they never went back to that after the first Mario vs. Donkey Kong. So I don't even know if they would go back to that. Maybe they.
Well,
I feel like they're gonna misread it, and even if people want that, they're just gonna bring back March of the Minis for the Switch.
I don't think they're gonna necessarily misread it, considering that for a co-op called out that nostalgia, they understand the power of nostalgia. So if they're trying to appeal to the parents, I mean, there's a commercial Nintendo just started running for Link's Awakening as part of their holiday campaign, where it's a guy in an office in a meeting who takes a call from his daughter, steps out, and starts giving her instructions on what to do at Link's Awakening, because that's what he played when he was a kid. So they're definitely playing up the 90s element. So I think it could be 94, but fine. Even if if not that one, they can't mix up. They could bring back Kid Icarus, do a Myths and Monsters, but as a prettied up, guzzied up Switch one, or come a little closer to reality and do Advance Wars, because Fire Emblem's now established itself as this really big, fantastical, medieval, elaborate thing. Advance Wars is much simpler and has a much different vibe. So if they just kind of scale back to the original Advance Wars and ditch all the dark, moody Days of Ruin stuff, and just sort of HDify that and sell it a little cheaper and keep it kind of simplistic, you have two different games. You have one that literally can be an entry point to the other. Yeah. So there's all these things they could do.
I'd love to see a modern interpretation of Ice Climbers.
That'd be cool, a full-on adventure that they go
one
on.
That's fun to play.
It's called Death Stranding.
I guess you are just climbing mountains.
Climbing mountains.
Yeah. But I just don't want to have to balance my running in Ice Climber. Like, that seems excessive. I just want to whack things with a mallet. But no, like, where I was going with all this is, like, you can, like, anything in Nintendo's history, they can kind of retrofit. So, like, Style Savvy, I was saying that one was canceled. One other piece of information that came out of the briefing was, and this is going to sound slightly sexist, I know, but Furukawa shared that a larger percentage of women are first-time Switch Lite buyers than with the regular Switch. And demographically speaking, Style Savvy's audience has skewed in that direction. And obviously,
what is Style Savvy? Like,
it's a fashion game. You make clothes and you put them on runways and stuff. It's like an RPG for fashion that Nintendo makes. They've made 3.
Nintendo makes these.
Yes, they made 3.
They're not Japan exclusive?
No, they've come here. They're on 3DS and DS.
They develop and publish these games.
It might have been like Intelligent Systems who developed it, but it's a Nintendo first-party property, yes.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so they're a real thing. And, like, obviously not every woman go want to play Style Savvy, and not every person who plays Style Savvy is a woman. I'm not saying that, but, like, the demographics are lining up, and they have one sitting on the shelf they could just HDify. Like, it just seems like so many opportunities for these handheld games to now kind of grow and foster and flourish in this potentially newer demographic split they have. So there's some cool opportunities here is what I'm getting at. But yeah, the 3DS itself, that thing's pretty much dead. Like, that's not going anywhere. Its hardware and software was down 60% year over year. It's selling, like, barely. Like, it's enough for them to keep it going, because they could just, like,
so
just pump out the hardware, but nothing new is coming out.
So would you even say it's on live support, or that's not even a good enough analogy anymore?
Here's how I'll say it. Doug Bowser was interviewed by The Verge the other day, and they asked him, is the 3DS platform dead? And he said, and I quote, "We're certainly not going to say it today. I think time will tell." So yeah, Nintendo's not putting any effort into it. They're seeing if they can milk some sales out of it. Which, like, it really feels like the Nintendo's just doing kind of like the shruggy emoji when they look at it. It's like, yeah, sure, whatever, it is what it is. And like, they pulled the plug on new software. They have 0 Black Friday deals this year for it, but it's still kind of there. And they're just kind of riding it out until it dries up completely, which is funny because, like, they're letting it wilt away slow enough that technically they proved me wrong when I said I think the 3DS will be off the market within 2 years of the Switch coming out. Like, technically it's still going, but at the same time, like, there's nothing new for it. So
they just did it to spite you.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, they make entire business decisions as the second largest company in Japan that makes millions of dollars to spite me. It makes sense. It makes total sense. I see no fault.
I would.
But yeah, so and not only that, but, like, obviously the Switch Lite's gonna fill the 3DS void. Like, they want the Switch Lite and its handheld first games to cater to that market. Like, Pokemon's gonna be huge. With, like, getting Switch Lite out before Pokemon Sword and Shield was definitely intentional. Getting it out before Animal Crossing New Horizons, definitely intentional. Like, it's gonna be big. It's just, for the time being, just hanging on for dear life. The little 3DS that could. But yeah, speaking of Black Friday, I mentioned
I'm
that before.
getting a RTX 2080 Super.
Uh-huh.
I'm getting a second monitor. I'm debating whether I want to go 4K with it, or just get another 1440p monitor. What else am I getting? I don't know. I'll come back.
Sure, Angel. What are you getting for Black Friday?
But that RTX 2080 Super is mine, as long as I can find it for under $700.
It's mine under a couple conditions.
Yeah, Blu-ray of King of the Monsters, probably Detective Pikachu, probably some other Blu-rays I've missed along the way. Dragon Quest at least, and Mario Sonic at least.
But those don't seem to be getting huge discounts, weirdly
No.
enough. That's the bone I have to pick with Nintendo. Like, kind of early this year, actually, they announced their big discounts and their sales push for this magical day that is Black Friday. And, I hate to say it, I think they're getting a little cocky. Like, it's the cycle every console maker goes through. Their system blows up, they get full of themselves, their next system underperforms, they get humble, they find success again, rinse and repeat. On the larger scale, we're talking, like the hubris of Microsoft's original ideas for Xbox One and the digital libraries. We're talking about PS3s, $599 US, like all that. We're not there yet with Nintendo at all, but it's kind of like a microcosm of perhaps where Nintendo's head's at. Their deals this year just feel like they are cocky. I mean, one of them is the Switch hardware bundle that Nintendo's doing this year. It's a Switch and a copy of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for $299, so Mario Kart's basically free, which is great. But if that sounds familiar, it's because it's the exact same deal they did a year ago, right down to the same old Switch hardware in the box. Meaning, for $300, you're actually getting the Switch with the worst battery life.
You're getting the worst Switch.
Yes. Which feels like such a cheap move on their part. And, like, it kind of feels like a cop-out because, like, Nintendo traditionally offers pretty good deals. And here's the thing. Here's why I'm kind of like, really, Nintendo? Their fiscal year is now halfway done. That's what the report that came out represents. First 6 months. They have shipped 38%.
Notice how we're still in the sales corner.
I told you I was going to swerve around on and off. No, but they already shipped. Hear me out here. They already shipped 38% of their Switch sales target this year. Last year they did 25% in the first 6 months. So they're ahead of themselves. If they have zero growth for Switch, if they sold exactly what they sold last year, but with more games and the Switch Lite, if they were just neutral, they will hit their goal and then some. There is no reason they have to cheap out with this bundle. They can afford to do the nicer bundle. They already will hit their goals. Everything is just icing on top at this point. So why not?
Maybe they're just trying to get rid of their inventory.
That's the contract. Yeah, that's the other thing
I can think of.
Yeah. That's really the only thing. Because from Nintendo's perspective, why would you even want those around? Get rid of them in a bundle that you already had the box art for.
Or they could just, hijack some more planes and give them away there if they really want to get rid of them that fast.
Why didn't you hijack their own planes?
No, not their own planes. Like what they did at Comic-Con. They just gave everyone
on Southwest where they gave everyone Mario Maker 2. Yeah, they could do that. And I'm sure we're going to hear a story about a holiday Southwest flight around Christmas.
Donate them to a children's hospital where every kid in the hospital...
No, you know what's going to happen with that one, honestly? They're going to do it. It's going to be the week before Christmas, and it's going to be Switch Lights. Which is contrary to how you get rid of inventory. But that's probably what it's going to be. But, on some of those, they're also creating 3 tiers that they normally have 2 for, because you get a $200 Switch Lite. You can get essentially a Switch for $240 if you subtract the game, but it's the older Switch with the worse battery, or you can get the newer Switch with the better battery for a flat $300.
Do people still think there's going to be a Switch Pro?
There are tiers to it. What?
Do people still think
there will be? Give it a year.
Oh, you still think so? Right.
It's going to happen. They don't. Nintendo doesn't not do midlife upgrades. It's happening. Switch Lite was a sidestep. Switch Lite was catering to a different market. Switch Pro's to double dip on us, essentially. It's only a matter of time. But, I don't know. It just feels like this whole thing, Nintendo's just resting on their laurels a little too much. They're so confident in Switch that, they can just kind of fake a good promotional bundle instead of actually doing one. And that just kind of, I don't know. It kind of rubs me the wrong way. Because, they're even running commercials about this great deal. And they don't, of course, mention the commercial. It's the worst battery that they have since promoted against. It's like when a company, hey, it tastes better now. It's wait, so what I was eating before was crap? What? That weird thing where they're hey, the thing we had before is bad, but now it's good. But now they're going back to but the bad one's still okay.
I was always a fan of Domino's crust.
The old crust?
The old crust, yeah.
I like their new crust a lot.
No, yeah, their new crust.
The older one wasn't bad.
For sure.
But, so that's...
What were we talking about?
I was just saying Nintendo, kind of being oh, we have a better battery, and then they're simultaneously being but also check out this worse battery, but it comes with Mario Kart. So just kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, but they're obviously not promoting that. Well,
they're not promoting that's the worst battery, but they're promoting this bundle it's the best thing you can get for Switch on Black Friday, and it has the worst battery. It just feels a little... But whatever, I get the logic on there, and you're right, it's probably an inventory clear out. But I think the one that bothers me more is how they're handling their software discounts this year. Because, unsurprisingly, they're pushing the evergreens. Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Party, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 2. They're all on sale for 33% off. That's $20 savings. And some smaller high sellers are also on that list. You can get Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Mario Tennis Aces, Kirby Star Allies, Octopath Traveler, and weirdly enough, Wolfenstein 2. I don't know why that one's on the list, but sure. But you know what isn't getting discounted?
What?
Anything first party that came out in the year 2019. Which on some level, sure, that makes sense. Mario Maker 2... That thing sold 3.93 million copies.
Forgot that came out this year.
Yeah, it not only did it come out this year. Did you know there are 8 million courses you can download in that game? Wow. 8 million. They've been played over 400 million times.
I bet only 10% of them are worth playing though.
Probably, but still, it's a big number. And that game is selling at a rate 1.5 times faster than the original did. So even though no one's talking about it, it doesn't seem like it has a whole video game culture cachet to it right now. It's
how many courses
better.
Did you say?
8 million.
8 million?
Yeah.
You said what? 10%?
Are gonna be good. That's generous. That's
generous.
That's
800,000.
Try
levels.
1%.
No.
Try 0.5%.
You're right.
No,
that was way too generous.
The reason I'm saying these numbers though is this game, we haven't talked about it forever. They just rolled out the friend online support recently, but the game has no when the original came out, there was some attention around it for quite a while. This one's just chugging along and selling super well and doing super well, and no one seems to notice or care. So obviously that one doesn't need to be discounted. It sold 4 million without even getting into a holiday season.
You care though.
I care. But not only that, but you're not going to discount Fire Emblem Three Houses. That thing sold 2.29 million since July. That's doing great too. The U.S.
I would have picked up Fire Emblem
if it's
discounted.
Yeah. But they can technically argue to themselves, well, it sells fine. Right now, over half the game's sales are in the U.S. That's crazy for Fire Emblem considering it used to be a Japan first franchise. So from Nintendo's perspective, if there's a game you're not going to discount, I get why it's that one. And, new releases like Luigi's Mansion 3 and Ring Fit Adventure, they're not going to get discounts because they're too new and they're selling really well. Like Luigi's Mansion in the UK, fastest selling Switch game this year. Ring Fit Adventure over in Japan, doing so well there are shortages. You can't find it anywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, surprisingly. So, I get why they're not going to push those. But what I don't understand is you've got games...
Makes sense.
Right? It's fun. And you need to give impressions once you've worked out with it for a while, now that you have it.
We'll see.
And, I have to do my follow-up ones anyway. But, yeah, so you have all those games that don't need discounts, but then you've got Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 and Astral Chain, which sold well. They charted initially, but have since vanished from the chart. They currently sit somewhere under 1 million copies sold, meaning Nintendo does not report their sales numbers in their financials. And then we've got titles Nintendo published for others. So Daemon X Machina, developer of that game, Marvelous, says it's doing well, but it never charted in the first place. Dragon Quest XI S, we just talked about last episode how it's underperformed. All these games could very well slowly and steadily get sales, but I don't get why. If I was Nintendo, I don't see why I wouldn't be seizing the holiday as an opportunity to boost these lesser properties. Give them the same $20 off. It's not that big of a. It's a long-term play. Get people buying something like Astral Chain now, and you could create a franchise out of it in the future. Get people amped about Dragon Quest, and now not every new release you're going to have to ask the question of, is this the one that finally breaks through in America? Because you already built a fan base because you are selling it cheaper to the parents who will buy it for their kids. It just seems silly to me. I know I'm going on a crazy rant about a $20 discount, but it just seems a little silly to me that Nintendo's always focusing their discounts on games that are already guaranteed sellers. Breath of the Wild has sold 1 million copies last quarter. It's 2 years old. It sells 1 million copies every quarter, which, by the way, is a crazy feat. But you don't need to discount it. It will sell. Mario Odyssey, 500,000 sold this last quarter. You don't need to discount it. Splatoon 2, 250,000 sold. Super Mario Party somehow sold another 600,000. It's now on track to be the best-selling Mario Party ever.
That game also has so much potential.
I know, and they squandered it. You know what's crazy about that?
I think they don't care, but they care sometimes. I don't know. They're just weird.
What's crazy about Mario Party is it's within 1 million of becoming the best-selling Mario Party game ever. And you know what the best-selling Mario Party game ever is? That's going to surpass if it hits that million.
Mario Party 4?
No. Mario Party DS.
Yeah.
Right?
The console. The speed console.
Okay, Mario Party 8.
Interesting. I guess it was
on Wii, that's why. It
Yeah,
was very early in the Wii. It was within the first year.
Where is Mario Party 4 on that?
Those are the 2 I pulled. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Wow.
I'm sorry,
The
everyone.
best Mario Party doesn't get
Whoa,
recognition.
hold on. Mario Party 2. Excuse you. He flipped me off and is not responding. No, but my point is, if these games are selling well with or without the discount, why? Nintendo shared a stat in their briefing during about the first half of this fiscal year, so from April through September, and I found the stat really interesting because it really hammers home you don't need these discounts. 63% of all Switch software sales from April to September of this year were of these evergreen titles, existing games. They released, I don't even know how many games. They only represent 37% of the sales since April. So let me repeat that. 2/3 of all Switch games bought since April are actually old games. Evergreens are clearly a huge driving force for some of these crazy sales numbers.
Super Mario Brothers Switch U Ultra Mix.
What?
That was one of the games you mentioned?
No. I mentioned Mario Maker 2. That one's not on sale, but that one has sold 5 million.
Oh, okay, no, yeah, I was just wondering how that
No, that one's doing pretty well. But all these games are old games, and they're selling fine. They're helping Nintendo reach crazy sales numbers. Switch sales.
They don't throw that word evergreen around they don't know what it means.
But that's my point. And yeah, clearly they're doing something right because they're selling. Their software sales are up 38% year over year. Actually, 39%. They have 11 different million sellers just this just this first half of the year. They're doing fine. They have now sold more Switch games than GameCube games, more Switch games than N64 games. They're doing fine. But all these feats were done with the evergreens at normal pricing. So, sure, discount them, but why not boost the guys that need the help? I don't get it. Why not give some of the Black Friday limelight to Astral Chain and Daemon X Machina and whatever else?
Because that would make too much sense, and we can't have that.
I know. And that's a good way to sort of cap off my rant. It's it is what it is, which I get.
I'm sure there's a reason. I'm no marketing man.
I'm sure there's some reason.
Yeah.
But
and
I think
marketing man.
I'm no marketing
man.
Honestly working them hard hours.
I would honestly love to hear
I'm no Don Draper.
Because there's obviously something. it can't be that black and white, right? Like there must be something there.
My gut feeling is some of it is they realize none of these games have had a holiday season yet, and they want to see if they can maximize the profit and revenue per game at least through one holiday season before they start discounting. Because everything they discounted came from over a year ago. Everything they discounted had a full holiday season. That's my guess, but it just seems like play the long game, guys. Like, why not? So you take $20 less per game now. You're already up in everything. It's fine. You got better sales in the future. Like, you'll keep your investors happy for multiple years. I'm not an investor. I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's just my gut feeling. So, and really, that's what this podcast is. It's just me and you guys giving our gut feelings about things. So, who knows? But
you are human.
Yeah, we all are.
All right.
And that's the end of the podcast. No, but not to end on like...
but wait, there's more.
No, I was going to say, not to end on like a negative note about Nintendo and their decision. So let's talk about one positive thing that came out of all this. I know we don't so much care about the game, but it's nice to know that people that play Mario Kart Tour are finally getting a real multiplayer mode, which somehow they have gone without for many months now. Like, say what you will about the game, but like for Nintendo, Mario Kart Tour is huge. I mean, there's data from Sales Sensor Tower, 123.9 million downloads in its first month. That's behind Pokemon Go and sort of surprisingly behind Call of Duty Mobile, but it's the third fastest downloaded app ever.
Yikes.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because the game's not great. But it makes some sense because like Mario Kart is huge. Like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe just became the all-time best-selling Mario Kart game. It sold another 1.3 million copies just this last quarter. Like, it sells. It's fine. Mario Kart Wii
finally overpassed Mario Kart Wii.
Supposedly. Mario Kart,
because Mario Kart Wii sucked.
Oh wait, no, that's not true. I take that back. Mario Kart Wii's at 40 million. I don't know what I was thinking when I said it was a bestseller. It overpassed Mario Kart 7. That's what it was. There we go. Which is not the bestseller, but Wii's still going. In fact, Wii is still going so strong. It's somehow, I don't know how people are finding the game. 40,000 additional copies were sold since April of Mario Kart Wii.
Get better taste, people.
Like, where are they finding them?
Probably at a Fry's or something.
But like, who has a Wii? And in the year 2019, however many years after, like 8 years after the Wii stopped being a thing, was like, hey, you know what game I need to buy? Mario Kart. Like, what? Who are these people? But anyway, point is, if Mario Kart does that well, of course the app's going to do super well. But what's sort of interesting for Nintendo is even though the downloads are super high, the revenue is not, which kind of meshes with what our feelings about the game, I feel like. Like, Sensor Tower reports that even though it's the biggest mobile app in terms of downloads, its first month revenue actually lagged behind Fire Emblem Heroes debut in terms of raw number. It was half of what Fire Emblem made in its first month. And if you look at per player, Mario Kart's bringing in 26 cents for every player, which is better than Dr. Mario World. That brought in 19 cents per player. But Dragalia Lost brought in $16.50 per player. So, like, Mario Kart has a long way to go before it's good. So the reason I'm sharing all this is because, yes, Mario Kart's getting a proper multiplayer in December, but it's only coming to Premium Gold Pass owners.
The multiplayers?
For now. They're calling it a beta test. And whether... I mean, it's so transparent that it's not actually that. Like, most apps when they do beta tests do it by region. Like, Pokemon Go will roll out a feature in a region or two and then go from there. And Pokemon Go, that works fine for it. They just hit $3 billion in lifetime revenue. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
But Mario Kart, Nintendo's like, well, what if we make the beta test only for people that pay us $5 a month? Which just feels so...
Just how you have to pay $5 a month to play 200cc.
Yeah. But at least it's the same $5. You're not paying $10.
Yeah.
But it's still just like, I don't know. So to give them credit where it's due, we get Mario Kart multiplayer 4 months later on a smartphone game that we don't really like. It will be when it comes out. It came out end of September. The Mario Kart multiplayer comes out in December.
Jesus.
Yeah. And it's for premium players only. But at least it exists, right? Yeah, that's good, right?
I can't believe Nintendo did that with Mario Kart of all games.
I can. It's the easiest one that they can get people to pay. Like I said, like all those downloads, all the attention it gets. It still made $37.4 million its first month. That's a decent chunk of change. It's no 67.6 that Fire Emblem got, but it's still something.
That is a true statement.
Yeah, but it's just kind of like, blah. I don't know. At least their core games don't require that. Like, we can play Luigi's Mansion and whatnot and happily play it with no weird monetization and no, like, imagine if they did Mario Maker 2 and they're like, we'll add friend support for online if you pay us $5 a month starting the month it comes out. Like, at least that's not a thing. And eventually Mario Kart's going to get free multiplayer. They're just beta testing, quote unquote, with the premium folk. But it does kind of lead us, I guess, to what we're playing, since I mentioned Luigi. We've been playing a lot of stuff, actually, or a couple things. Luigi's Mansion, that new surprise game for Nintendo, The Stretchers, and then Kevin has Outer World. Is it World or Worlds?
Worlds.
Outer Worlds. But I guess we can start with Luigi's Mansion. It's the episode's namesake. Angel, you've been playing it a lot. You've been doing co-op, right?
Yeah,
which is a first for the main game of Luigi's Mansion versus like a separate mode.
Yeah.
So how are you liking it? How are you liking the game as a whole, especially from an animation perspective, because it's so personality driven.
As a whole, the game's okay. Just okay.
Okay.
Like,
elaborate.
To be fair, that's what he said about what do we have?
Like,
Kobe beef when we're in Japan.
So
I don't trust anything when he brings it.
I know, yeah.
That's a good metric.
I know tasting games definitely like reflects your taste in food for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
okay, I want to slap him so hard. You have no idea.
I mean, we
did I say it was terrible? I think, like, personally, I thought it was okay.
Are we talking about the beef or the game or both?
Talking about the beef.
The beef.
I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, as wrong as it may be.
I didn't say it was the best or the worst or whatever.
It existed in your mouth and you ate it.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, but I felt like I've enjoyed better.
Did you guys do like a street card or like an actual?
Yeah, street.
I don't know.
Is it possible his was slightly overcooked, so it didn't capture that?
No idea, but it was delicious.
Maybe when I go to a restaurant and try Kobe beef next time we go to Japan. I don't know.
Nintendo World 2021. I mean, it's opening next year, but we're going in 2021.
Yeah. So.
Anyway, Luigi.
Yeah, I don't know. So I mean, so there's stuff like I really like about the game, and there's stuff that I really don't like about the game. So that's why this kind of comes out to okay, because they're both like
extremes
like,
in your mind.
Yeah, they're both kind of extremes.
So let's start with the pros, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like presentation is like, it's really really good. Like,
oh, it's so good.
The quality of the animations. I mean, I felt like they were getting up there with Mario Odyssey. Like Mario Odyssey did a good job of just adding more life to the characters whenever there was any kind of cutscene or them just like kind of existing in the overworld.
Yeah.
But this one, I feel, is just like the next step up from that. Like everyone is just so expressive. Like even like the minor, like Luigi just looks happier, and you could tell it's like, oh, they're actually bothering to animate his cheekbones this time, and it makes him look that much happier whenever he's excited.
It feels like an interactive CG movie more than any Nintendo game ever has, especially how they come in and out of cutscenes.
No, yeah, there's certain points where like you get control of the characters in like kind of these weird close-up camera angles, and like it almost doesn't look like, wow, I can't believe I'm actually playing a video game. It's just one of those like moments, just because it's so cartoony, like it feels really really cool.
Sort of on that same note, I feel like no one's really paying attention to this, but I do want to mention it. This is easily Charles Martinet's best performance he's done, and he's working with barely any more words than usual, but they're letting him be so much more expressive and do so much more that it's like, it's really cool. Like it really feels like Luigi's like a person.
No, yeah, there's been like plenty of times where like all of a sudden I will like chuckle at something like Luigi did or said, or
yeah, like there's some great slapstick.
The way he reacts to something. I mean, it's definitely all like Luigi. Like this game definitely makes me like Luigi as a character like a lot more.
Oh yeah, and it only took 20 years for Charles Martinet to actually get to like flex his voice acting chops a bit. Yeah.
And I don't know, like it's funny, like even though I revisited, I haven't revisited Luigi's Mansion in a good while. I've definitely played it within the last 10 years, but I don't know what it was about that game that when I first played it, like it just felt like I loved everything about it. Like the design of I still think the designs of the ghosts aren't as great as they were in the first one. Like they all just kind of have, even though
they all went on diets in this one. Like the first one, all of them were chubby. This one, they're all pretty slim.
Well, I mean, they're the same as they were in Dark of the Moon.
Right.
But yeah.
Dark of the Moon?
Dark Moon.
I'm thinking Transformers or whatever.
Right. The Michael Bay Luigi's Mansion, yep.
But, like, even the like, the ghosts that are, like, the special ghosts, like, you fight, like, a bunch of different bosses and they're all ghosts themed around different things. Like, those are definitely way more interesting this time around.
Oh, for sure.
Actually, the bosses in Dark Moon and this one, like, have always been, like, they go out there. Like, they're pretty well designed for the most part, but man, like it's not really something I can blame this game for, because like I don't know, you know, like all of a sudden I've been like, we have all played like our fair share of puzzle games, and I guess everything for the most part has been like either pretty easy or something is so easy, because the puzzles are like, it's usually something pretty obvious. Like, there are a few that I was like, oh, okay, that was actually kind of clear. Like, I wonder how long does it take for other people to figure this out. But that only happens like a few times. For the most part, like you end up being your own worst enemy because you overthink the puzzle, and then you end up like looking through the whole room being like, okay, I don't know like what the hell to do, and then you're like, oh, I just didn't stand in this exact spot, and then that triggers the whole thing. And
what's kind of funny is like I have encountered that.
Like that happens that happened quite a number of times, especially when we're like, well, this might be more of a co-op thing, but like since Luigi can't exactly interact with things, I mean he just can't activate any cutscenes. Yeah. So whenever
really?
So whenever you have to press X on something, it has to be Luigi that does it.
In co-op, he can't. I figured in co-op he'd be able to because you're two different people controlling two different.
Well, I mean, like
in single player, I get it because he's like not the essence of Luigi. That sounds, but he's like.
No, it makes sense because I mean the cutscene has Luigi be in that spot.
Right. But it seems like for co-op they should have figured something out.
I don't know. It's weird. It depends. Like sometimes, like I'll be over here sucking like money, like off the wall, like with Luigi, and then I'll walk into an area, and that'll trigger a cutscene because as long as he's there, but then suddenly Luigi's over there, and it's like, oh, I wasn't there, I was over here.
Right.
But there's like some things where you have to like pull a panel or like pull like an arm down to activate the puzzle, but Luigi can't do that. When he walks into that spot, it won't show the X over him to show that you can interact with that.
Interesting.
But when you're Luigi, you can, and because of that, there was like twice that like my brother and I were like searching through the whole room, and we're like, okay, we've been through everything, and there are two statues that look basically the same, and I go to one, I'm like, okay, I can't interact with this one, and I was like, okay, I checked that one, you can't interact with that one, but because I wasn't Luigi standing on that one, then I know that I could, and we ended up pretty much, like.
So even though it has co-op, it's not actually truly made for co-op.
No, I mean, overall, like, there's still a lot of things that tell you straight up. I mean, there's the whole section that's like basically like you doing basically two things at the same time.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I mean,
single player.
It was just
team
it was just that one, like those instances, like
right.
And especially because like you can interact with so many things with the vacuum that
I kind of love it.
It's honestly like if I wasn't playing co-op, I feel like it would be like almost excessive just because it takes so long just to get through one room, especially when they give you so much money that you feel like it's just raining money the entire game. Like, it felt more rewarding finding money in the first game, because you'll find, like, a few coins here and there, you'll kill some enemies, you maybe get, like, a couple bills. But then every once in a while, like, when you, like, oh, cool, like, I feel like I could suck up this wall. Oh, you can, there's something behind that. And then you open the chest and you get, like, gems and stuff, and it feels really good. This one, it feels like the trash can, like, makes it rain.
It does.
Like, literally, like, you get so much money, it almost feels, like, kind of annoying sometimes. You're just, like, just standing there just sucking up a bunch of money.
Well, it's funny because, like, you were like, telling me, oh, you unlock co-op at this certain point. And then I hit that threshold of time. I'm like, I don't have co-op. And you're like, what were you? Yeah, basically, we realized it's because I was sucking up everything in every room.
I mean, I still did that.
Taking my sweet time.
I mean, I did everything. I mean, yeah.
Well, either way, my point is, like, yeah.
Well, I'm playing with Elvis, so, like, by default, we have to go through, like, a fine comb for every.
But technically, there's two of you doing it.
Well, not until after the first hour.
True.
We still managed to do that.
That's
why I said, like, I'm pretty sure you were just ogling at the Toad animation.
I mean, I also was doing that. That is accurate. But no, my point is, like, yeah, there's a lot of, like, you can just get lost in the weeds of browsing stuff, which I actually didn't mind.
Well, no, it's not even, like, the getting lost. Like, you just
I mean, lost, like, you don't know what you're doing. I mean, like, you could just get so time-consuming just going around and interacting with very little.
Because there was a point, like, where I was just, like, just getting the money just kind of started getting boring. Because, like, a lot of the rooms start having kind of the same layout. And you're just like, all right, got to get all the money here. Got to make sure I get everything. And it doesn't feel. Yeah. I guess collecting the money got repetitive way too fast.
It does play a nice casino sound, like slot machine sound effect when you get big amounts of money, which is a little rewarding, but not the same as if.
I just wish like the money was, I don't know, relocated in such a way that made it feel more rewarding to find certain like cash.
It's very much the Moons and Odyssey issue that you had, but with money and Luigi.
Yeah, but this one, like, you literally can't. But this one, you literally can't afford to, like, skip anything because you might find either the gems or the key. And then one thing that, like, kind of reemphasizes the whole, like, it almost feels like kind of boring to collect the money or just to, like, explore the rooms because there's just way too much. Like, in the first game, there were these, like, golden mice and golden ghosts that, like, when they appear, you have to be really quick to get them. Otherwise, you miss them, and in some cases, you may never get them again, or you have to wait a really long time for them to respawn. You pretty much have to go out and play the game and come back to that spot, and you have another go at that golden one that gives you, like, a payday of awesome stuff.
Yeah.
And this one, if you see the golden mouse, first I was like, oh, cool, they brought that back. But then the mouse just goes in circles, never stops, and you're like, okay, so like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, why even try to make him faster? Like, oh man, I'm gonna miss him if he's never gonna leave. And same thing with the golden ghost. It's like, just give me the money then. At that point,
there's definitely a bit more of a accessibility.
I mean, yeah, like that's something like I feel like I can't really like down it for that. Except like, oh, I guess we're too good at games or something. I guess or. Like, that's why, like, the atmosphere and the characters and the way it's animated and the gameplay, for the most part, like, is what's making us really, really enjoy the game.
Yeah.
But then there's, like, all the little things that were like, man, like, if either were playing this by ourselves, we would be, like, kind of bored or just, like, kind of underwhelmed.
I haven't had that feeling yet.
But because, like, we're playing together, like, that also automatically gives it, like, a bunch of bonus. Because they're like, oh, we just love playing games together. That makes it automatically more fun.
Right.
Like, there were just a bunch of moments where we're literally just, like, kind of doing nothing. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's an area later where you could kind of mess around or just have fun with the way everything looks, and it's just kind of fun just to mess around and do nothing there. And
that's kind of what I like about, like, as someone's been playing solo is, I get your point about the money and everything, but I did kind of like how, like, and I forgot Luigi's Mansion is this, or I never thought of it this way until recently. It's basically a Nintendo-fied point-and-click adventure. So you're encouraged to explore everything. You're encouraged to go through every nook and cranny, and for the most part so far, it hasn't bothered me because things are interactive. The physics engine's pretty good.
Yeah,
like,
I just feel like
the personality of everything, the theming,
and it's funny. And then you get the opposite effect where, like, my brother and I, like, since we have to comb through every event, every area, sometimes we're like, okay, my gut says I could throw the plunger and rip that out, and then I rip that out, and then we find like a little cavern, and we're like, oh cool, it's like all these like cool little secrets, and then when we get to the end of it, there's like a treasure chest, and it only gives us like less than half of what like one of the trash cans out in the open gives you.
It's the journey, not the destination. Like, that's what I'm enjoying. It's just like doing the exploration. I don't care what I get. It's just kind of exploring the mansion. Like, but no, but
I don't know. Yeah, the rewards aren't balanced. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, that's fair. And but I think, like, for me at least, what's sort of powering me through is like the environments are just really cool. Like, something I really like about Luigi's Mansion 3 is Next Level Games kind of took the feedback from 2, where everything was so compartmentalized, and then combined what the compartmentalizing allowed, which is more varied locations and themes, and then sort of figured out a way to make it work in the structure of Luigi's Mansion 1 a bit more, hence the hotel. So each floor, has a different theme, and there's like the dance floor one, and there's like the boss fight with the like Roman Colosseum situation, and there's like all these different and there's like the jungly grassy one, I don't know what to call it, but like it allows for there to be some more variety that the original didn't have, that Dark Moon did well, but it does it without the downsides of Dark Moon's almost like score-based mission mode structure or whatever. So I'm enjoying that. Like, I think that's cool. And it keeps it fresh for me. I mean, someone who's just like exploring and interacting with stuff, to have, the different scenarios and different places, and then weird things like the Luigi dancing cutscene and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's fun exploring and getting to things that are new, but like you get to a point in the game where you're like
how much exploring can you do? Yeah.
Yeah, because like a lot of the things, like, it ends up being the same secrets that you're just discovering over and over again. It becomes
just
a pattern.
Slightly different ways, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the first time you encounter all these things, like, oh, cool, that's neat. But then later on, it becomes less and less exciting. It's like diminishing returns, I guess.
Right. I do think one thing that it does really well, that we probably both agree on, is the new mechanics are pretty solid. The plunger gun, the slamming move.
Definitely get used to using them exclusively on the shoulder buttons, because you don't want to use the face buttons.
Yeah, I have a nitpick about that, actually. So you have
They never tell you keep the shoulder buttons.
I know, but you have the normal Luigi.
But it is possible.
You have the normal Luigi flashlight, and then you have the like black light. There is no way to like charge up comfortably those flashlights with the face buttons while you're trying to move the right stick to aim him.
Yeah, you have to
without doing like a claw hand thing. That's
you have to use like your pointer finger on the A button, and then you're
really uncomfortable. And it's crazy because like the 3DS arguably would have been and was the worst control input for Luigi's Mansion, because you only had one stick, but somehow it felt more comfortable doing all these elaborate things than when you have dual sticks back, like on the GameCube.
Yeah, I heard the controls for this game weren't that great.
But it's weird. It just doesn't make sense.
I mean,
they could have mapped it to that, because like the shoulder.
I said you can.
But by default, I mean.
It is by default. I never mess with the controllers.
It is, except for the black light. The black light doesn't go to L or R or ZL, ZR, unless I think you might be able to go into the same.
It's still there.
What?
Yeah.
I pressed all the buttons. It didn't do it.
You have to press L and R at the same time.
Oh, why don't they tell you that?
I didn't
know that.
I mean, yeah, we didn't know that until like our second session, but like once we did that, like, if you play with the default,
makes it so much better.
If you play the game with the controls the game tells you to play with,
it's awful.
It's
not awful, but it's not great.
It's not that great. Like, you're not like, oh, I kind of like, I hate that I have to not aim sometimes, when you're using. But now that we figured out, I guess, the right way to play, now it's not a problem. You're pretty much twin sticking the whole time, and you get through the shoulder buttons.
Now that I know the shoulder buttons are an option, I'll be more blunt. And yes, it's awful, the other control input. If it was the only method, I'd be like, well, I can make it work. But now I know I don't need to.
Yeah, because then it's like L plunger, R flashlight, both together, black light, and there you go.
Yeah.
That literally resolves everything.
Wow. Nintendo, what are you doing?
I don't know why they didn't teach people that.
But yeah, I think those mechanics are fun. I think Luigi's a cool addition, honestly. I know some people are like, but I like Luigi. And also, I like how much weird lore they've built into Luigi. He has a whole backstory. You can go read it on the Luigi's Mansion website, but he has a whole backstory. Apparently, Luigi's Mansion on the 3DS, so the remake, they added Luigi there originally, which was a tease for this game, it turns out. But why is Luigi suddenly in Luigi's Mansion 1, but wasn't in Dark Moon? And
thought he was in Dark Moon.
Nope. I don't think so.
Pretty sure he is.
I heard on a podcast that he is in Dark Moon.
He is?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's who you play as in Skyscraper if you're player 2.
Oh, that's right.
It's literally Luigi.
That's right.
But it's also the multiplayer mode, so I guess maybe that's not canon.
So here's what is canon. How did he end up in Luigi's Mansion 1 on 3DS? This is real canon. EGAD sent him back in time to test him and see if he could handle the environment. So he actually sent him to the events of Luigi Mansion 1 as like a test case, brought him back to the present, and now he's with Luigi in Luigi's Mansion 3, and I guess Dark Moon's somewhere in there too. Which is just like, this is a character that existed simply so he could do a gameplay mechanic, and then they made him a time traveler and everything. So it's kind of cool. I like it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think it's great that they're giving him. Like,
if I were to give this game any reason to be Game of the Year, it'd be because you could pick up toads and toss them at like display cases and have them like break the glass. And
Finally,
it's pretty great.
This is what I've needed my entire life.
It's like, and it's just funny because like you're just like throwing them into glass and it just looks hilarious. Like they're like
that goes back to what's so great about the game, which is just like the personality of
like
it.
they're obviously screaming, but like the sound effects.
They're obviously screaming. They're obviously in pain.
They're obviously brutally being like
their
faces are being cut up like glass.
No, I mean like they're screaming for joy when you toss them. They're acting like they're having fun, but like the sound effects of them breaking into the glass just like make it look hilarious.
Well, I knew.
Also, like the slam just looks really brutal whenever you're like using a ghost to break like down the table or like display cases. Or
smacking ghosts into other ghosts is like the most satisfying thing I've done in a video game in a long time because you like it's just like so like yeah.
Yeah,
and like then the second damage meter pops up and it's
yeah. I mean that is fun, but like man, so they build up so many fights to be like this. Like oh man, you're in for a rumble here. Like 20 ghosts you're gonna fight at once.
Oh, it's never that.
And then no, I know, but they like I'm saying they build it up like that, and then the fight's like over in like in less than like 3 seconds, and you're like, why'd they give me like a little cutscene? That's actually what I liked for some reason a little more about Luigi's Mansion 1, about the way some of these ghosts, like the boss ghosts, like yeah, like their cutscenes, like they have them like that, but those are well done. But there's other mid-tier ghosts that are just kind of there, just kind of like living their life, and they don't need a cutscene to be introduced. Like you're just kind of seeing them in Luigi's Mansion 1, like minding their own business.
Yeah.
And it's always just felt creepy. I don't know, it just made it feel creepier. But now every ghost has like a I mean, the game's more cartoony. It's way you could tell. I mean, it's not as dark. The first one was just a darker game.
Well, literally darker.
Which also, like, I mean, that's kind of what I missed about the first one.
I think on some level it was always kind of wacky. We just were younger, so I know you went back and played it, but I think on some level, like, if we were to go play it today without having any past experience with the game, we'd be like, it's kind of slapsticky. But yeah, it was physically, literally darker, so it made, and the ghost kind of roamed and everything, so it felt a little more creepy. Even though the actual mechanics and the actual story and the actual anything were basically this.
Yeah.
It just had that extra layer, which helped. But yeah, I do think, like, to the Toad point before, I think when the game boots up, there's a Toad driving a bus, and he's not a good driver. The bus is
You can barely see.
You can barely see over the wheel. The bus is swerving everywhere. And once that happened and that cutscene was playing, I was like, oh, this is going to be, like, just kind of a fun ride. Like, that's kind of the thing about it, is, like, there's a lot of gameplay things that are a little odd. The controls until you learn the alternate, but like just as like kind of like a fun, like a weird little slapstick fun house where you get to like see a Nintendo character or world come to life in a way that it hasn't before and actually be almost like a movie. Like it's pretty cool at that. Like it's a unique experience for that. It's just kind of a fun house, I guess you could say. And fun houses don't necessarily have challenges, but it which hurts it in many ways probably, but like it's just kind of a fun little fun house to go experiment with.
I just
walk around through and see different environments.
I want to be challenged, and not in the
which it always comes down to.
Essentially, yeah.
And I don't even mean like make it Super Meat Boy, just like I don't know. Don't give me puzzles that are meant for 5-year-olds. Just give me throw one for 10-year-olds in there.
What if the target audience is 5-year-olds?
I know. Then
I don't think it is. That's the thing. They sell it as it's not. But yeah, or like do like a Mario style game where after you beat the main game, there's a second game that's harder or something.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, like I said, like the game is at least fun enough that like I don't mind that. But I feel like for sure, like I'm glad it's at least co-op.
Yeah, and there's also the multiplayer modes, which we haven't really touched on, and there's all sorts of, there's a lot to it. It's probably the most packed Luigi's Mansion game, because Luigi's Mansion's always been kind of short.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, like I think, like I was saying, at least in my mind, it's just kind of a little fun house you go explore, and Nintendo made it all very interactive, and there's always, to your point about, like, you find secret stuff, there's always little nooks and crannies where you try a weird thing and it suddenly works, and you're like, oh, okay. It's like that's
sometimes they try everything and then literally nothing works, and
until
you're like, and then you're like, oh, I guess I'm just not supposed to get this yet, and then you leave, and then later you
or that. Yeah, so it's not perfect, but I think
the
personality of it shines through so much that I'm willing to overlook that stuff. But I'm more in it for just the ride than anything else. Like, I'm not looking for a challenge.
Are you going to finish it?
I mean, you're asking me, the guy.
I'm pretty sure he's not going to play it beyond what he already played.
That's not true.
Oof.
That's not true. That's not true. I'm going to send you a photo of me playing it to prove you wrong.
I'll be very happy.
Okay. And to answer your question, kind of depends on how long it is. I don't know. But we'll see.
Well, we're 7 hours in, and like I said, like we clean out every room.
Yeah.
And we're like 3 floors away from beating it.
So it's like a 10-hour game?
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be like a 10-hour game.
But, so that's one game we've all been playing. There's another game, actually, right before we recorded, that Angel and I are playing. This is a bit different than our regular impressions. We've only put collectively maybe 40 minutes into this game, that were the Stretchers. But that's because it shadow dropped on Friday with no notice whatsoever, which is very unusual for Nintendo. But we thought we'd cover it with some early impressions anyway, because we often talk about how we wish Nintendo didn't share so much information about games. Like, we literally were talking about that with Smash Bros. And now we actually have for Nintendo, very unique experience of going into a game completely cold. It came out on Friday. We didn't watch any trailers. We bought the thing. We had no advanced knowledge. We played it for 40 minutes, and I thought, like, this would be kind of an interesting way to talk about the game, because not that many people know about it. Like, if you weren't paying attention to Nintendo's socials or on their YouTube, you would not know this exists. It's not even in the top row of games on the eShop right now. It's like 2 or 3 down. But it's kind of fun. It's developed by the guys that did Little Nightmares for Bandai Namco, and it's how would you describe it, Angel? It's kind of like it's like a Crazy Taxi meets
a Mario Party minigame.
Yeah,
because there's literally a Mario Party minigame where you're carrying a ruler.
It looks like it has some Overcooked in it.
Yeah,
there's definitely an Overcooked vibe. It's you're gonna say.
Well, yeah, because there's a minigame in Mario Party that I actually really enjoyed, where it's a 2 versus 2, and you're each carrying a ruler or something long. I don't remember exactly what it is, but you're supposed to just like traverse an obstacle course, rotating, like, just moving yourself and orienting yourself so that the ruler can get through every obstacle. And sometimes you have to go back.
Yeah.
Or just like, just so you don't get in the way of stuff.
And this is that.
This is just like a super fast-paced version of that.
And instead of a ruler, it's a stretcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, I mean, it's really fun. It's
actually pretty fun, yeah.
It oozes polish like any Nintendo game would. I mean, stuff that you could clap like crazy is already
there's fun. Literally a clap button, which you're supposed to use to get someone's attention, obviously, because
it works.
It is co-op. So basically, how it's structured is, and it's actually structured not like Overcooked or any game like that. It's actually kind of an open world of sorts. Basically, how it works is you start the game up and you're these 2 ambulance drivers, and you obviously drive an ambulance. And you are learning that people are being affected by getting dizzy all around the town. The dizzies by a evil dude named Captain Brains, and the doctor that can cure these dizzies is named Dr. Professor. So that
Professor Doctor
or Professor Doctor. Yeah. Either way, that should give you an idea of the kind of ridiculousness of the game. Like, it does not take itself seriously.
Before we go any further,
yes,
was this published by Nintendo or developed?
Published by Nintendo, developed by the Little Nightmares team.
Oh, okay, yeah, my bad.
No, that's cool. But for Nintendo to publish a game when so many of these similar games are being published by others, they must have done something special in their minds. So you're going and you're trying to rescue these people. So all these dizzy people are scattered around different little environments in this overworld. And you kind of enter the environment, and then there's like, you're sort of locked into a specific space, and if you go beyond it, there's boundaries you exceed, and you can die if you stay out too long, or whatever the game's equivalent of dying is. We never actually found out because we went back in. But so you have these little like environmental puzzles, and you with your 2 guys and your stretcher have to go and get all these people scattered around the environment by solving environmental puzzles, and then put them into your ambulance. But what's kind of neat is to get to and from the environments, you actually drive the ambulance crazy taxi style.
Yeah.
So there's
crazy
a
taxi
marker.
is definitely a very good way to describe it.
Yeah, there's like a marker.
Arbitrary ramps.
Lots of like weaving through things. You get rewards if you like damage stuff as you drive without hurting people. And then you get to destination. There's a big glowy target that you pull into, and then it switches over to the other mode, which is either helping find the people or taking them to the hospital, and then they get cured. And the puzzles are basically you as a doctor or you as an EMT, I guess, have the ability to grab things. That's about it. So you can grab the stretcher together and walk around and pile people on it. You can grab obstacles to move them. You can grab people and drag them out of situations. And in a very like Overcooked sort of way, you have all sorts of different environmental things to deal with. Like one of the early ones is there's buzzsaws you have to dodge, and there's a big log that's swinging back and forth you have to dodge because you're at a wood mill.
Okay, I was just gonna say buzzsaws in the open world.
Yeah, no, it's like so you go to like a wood
sawmill.
A wood mill. That's nothing. You go to a sawmill, and that's where that's where cases of the dizzies have broken out. So you're helping collect 5 people there, and you load them into the ambulance. And they get scored based on what sort of maneuvering you did. Like, did you avoid the log? Did you get hit by the log?
How many did you put at?
How many did you put at once?
How many fences did you break for some reason?
How many fences did you break? How many like obstacles did you avoid? Like all sorts of stuff like that. Gotcha. There's like another one. You go to the beach, and you have to find people like hidden in outhouses and under canoes, and you have to like bounce them off trampolines, get them onto the shore from being like in a little like pier or whatever, stuff like that. So there's always different things, and as you go through the game, it assigns you 2 or 3 different environments. You can pick which one you want to drive to. You do it, it assigns you a few more, et cetera, and there's a whole plot that goes along the way. But it's all driven by a kind of realistic ragdollish, like, what's a good game to compare it to? What's that? Humans Fall Flat? No, the physics. Like Humans Fall Flat or like Gang Beasts or like one of the, not quite Gang Beasts.
The characters don't control like Gang Beasts or anything.
But the environment.
Everything else is that. Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, if anything, it's most like that one game that we played where you are supposed to deliver packages.
Oh, the one we played at E3.
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding. Yeah, you have to bounce your running.
Except that one.
There's a baby you carry. It's really weird. Conan O'Brien's in it. No, it's from Tiny Build. That was called. But yeah, you're a parcel delivery guy like Death Stranding. No, but this one...
I mean, the controls are tight. It's just everyone else is a ragdoll. It's a literal ragdoll.
Yeah, and all the environments are. So, like, if you knock a barrel over, it will kind of ricochet as it should. And your ambulance drives kind of shaky and, Like, it has good handling, but if you, like, take it off a ramp, it's going to do kind of that slow, wiggly fall sort of thing. But, that's kind of... That's pretty much the gist of it. But what's great is like it's just really well put together, and it's very wacky and weird.
You shouldn't really be too worried about the price point. I'm sure it's gonna.
We're very early in it. It is $20. We're very early in it. We don't know how long it goes on for, but compared to like Overcooked or something, it's about the right price. But it, it just seems like it's very self-aware of what it is and how wacky it is, and I assume the wackiness keeps going. I mean, every single thing you do is full of puns, which obviously I love. And I don't mean like a pun or two. I mean like you'll complete something and they'll cram like 4 puns in a single dialogue box.
I mean the names of the levels. Like what was the one? Seas of what or
Seas of Change or something? But no, it was Seize the Day, but it was SEAS or something like that. But then like you.
I don't know if that's in good taste or not. Seize the day, as in like seizure wise.
What? As in
SEAS.
SEAS, like.
Okay.
Oh no! Seize like because it was on the beach. No, not Seize. Oh God. No. I mean, I think Nintendo learned from the Pokemon episode in the 90s in Japan not to do anything involving that. No. But yeah, it's just like you'll do the wood one and you'll be like, well, wood, and you know that you really like cut through the whatever.
This game is not meant for me.
No, but it's like I love it because it's so ridiculous. But it's and the premise just gets wackier and wackier. And there's obviously the clapping button which can be spammed and mess with your friend. But yeah, it's pretty fun. It's $20. It has single player, multiplayer, 2-player co-op. Co-op seems like the way to go. We haven't tried single player. I couldn't say how it works. Like I don't know if like you do dual sticks and each stick is one person.
I would assume
that's what I would assume, but who knows? But yeah, it's just was like to me kind of cool to see Nintendo just like, hey, surprise, and throw a game out there that in many ways is kind of like it's like what they do with snipper clips, or like you could play single player, but it's made for multiplayer, and they kind of just took that idea and like, well, how we do it with this other type of gameplay now, and they again reached out to another company and had them kind of piece it together, and here we are, or the company reached out to them, I don't know, but either way. Kind of a pleasant surprise. Kind of cool to be able to just play a game. Like, we went in knowing nothing. I just knew it involved stretchers because it's in the name.
And I just knew I had to put up with Jason for a little while.
Yeah, and he just knew I insisted we play it. But it was, like, actually kind of fun. Like, it's weird in this day and age to have a Nintendo game where you can go in blind. if you fall on Nintendo. Like, obviously, we could just completely turn off everything Nintendo and go in blind to any game.
I challenge you.
Like, even the trailer on Nintendo's YouTube channel, at the bottom it says, surprise, it's out today.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it came out of nowhere. The only heads up we got was it hit Japan a couple hours before the rest of the world. So I saw late Thursday night that there's this thing in Japan. And then Friday morning, it was like, oh, there's this thing in Europe. And then, like, mid-Friday, Nintendo was like, oh, and it's in America, too. So that was the only head start. But, yeah, it's cool.
Damn internet.
Right? So, yeah, I recommend it if you want, like, kind of a cool co-op experience that's a little more structured than many. And if you like Crazy Taxi, it's the closest we're going to get. So yeah, that is the Stretchers. And, I mean, it sounds like you kind of are on the same boat. We both played it, so I feel like you should give your final initial feel about it, too, right? Like,
the characters remind me of how Ditto transformed in the Pokemon movie.
That's true. They have the same weird little eyes.
Yeah, they have the same beady eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
in Detective Pikachu.
The characters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the background characters also just animated pretty hilariously. Like, one of the doctors are doing like a squat pose for some reason.
Yeah. The doctors unveil their machine to undizzy people, and they're all like pose, and like most of them are clapping, but one guy's doing basically the prayer hands, like squatting pose, but without the prayer hands. But he's like perfectly centered. So there's like all these weird little visual gags that just make it really fun. Yeah. So yeah. And meanwhile, Kevin, you've been playing The Outer Worlds, but not on Switch because it's not out yet.
No, because it's not out on Switch.
Yeah,
I've been playing on PC, but I'm assuming the end product won't be too different.
Probably. How is it? Like, is it something that you think will work well on Switch when it eventually hits?
Because it's not
Citizen Kane of games.
No,
is it the Godfather of video games?
No,
Godfather
I'd say
2?
it's closer to the idiocracy
the
of
Blood
games.
Rain of games.
Okay, actually, that's I could see that. Idiocracy is.
And I mean Blood Rain the movie, not the game.
Not the game.
The
Uwe Boll movie. No,
when's the last time that guy released a movie?
What?
When's the last time that guy released a movie?
It's been a while. He finally realized what he was doing to humanity and stopped.
Man,
smart man.
Those interviews where he's like, he didn't care. It's like, oh, like these properties were just cheap to get and just like attach.
And you know what? It showed.
Yeah.
But I like your Idiocracy comparison because that game's very like sort of turning an eye to like capitalism and everything.
Yeah, it's definitely a very like capitalism is bad game, and capitalism is bad.
Wink, wink, snicker, snicker.
Meanwhile, they're like selling it through capitalism.
Yeah, well,
that's
the world that we live in.
Yeah, they could open source it. No, but how is it?
It's great. It's very reminiscent of the Fallout games. Obviously, this is Obsidian Entertainment, who did, in my opinion, the best Fallout game, Fallout New Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
But the closest that I guess Switch fans or Nintendo fans will ever get to this is probably the Elder Scrolls.
Okay.
Just because Fallout to me is just basically post-apocalyptic Elder Scrolls.
Sure.
You play as a member of a lost colony. There's a ship with a bunch of people in it that we're supposed to go colonize some sort of solar system. Something happened to it where corporations thought it's not feasible to go get the ship of people. It's like we're not going to make any money off of it. We'll lose money. So going along with the capitalist nature of this game, you get awoken by some crazy doctor, and then you're pretty much told to go meet up with some people on this other planet. You land on this planet. The very first planet that you land on is really cool. It's called the Emerald Vale. Yes. And
sound confident.
And you just pretty much go from there.
Yeah.
If you've played Fallout, you will know what type of game this is. Very dialogue driven. This is probably the best dialogue driven game that I've played in a while.
How elaborate are those dialogue trees?
Very. You can go on for a couple minutes just talking to people.
Okay.
Just to like random NPCs on the in the open world.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Fallout, where it's like one huge map, that's just like smaller maps. Mm-hmm. And I've only done the first world because my subscription lapsed by accident. So, but like the characters are great. Like every character that you can talk to is like really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The game's funny. The combat I'm not too crazy about, but the combat in like the Elder Scrolls games and the Fallout games have never been the best. So and it's a shooter, but it's not, its main focus isn't just shooting. So whenever this does come to the Switch, it'll be fine.
Right.
And you can also go like a melee route. And it seems to me like there's going to be a lot of replayability in this game because right from the get-go, you can snitch on the doctor that woke you up. And according to the developers, if you snitch on that doctor because he's wanted, it will change the rest of the game.
Oh, interesting.
So
and I assume each tree also leads to different decisions that leads to different endings.
and like the choices are very black and white in this game. Well, you're going up against like corporations, like
right.
that are one of my favorite things. One of my favorite jokes in this game was you're talking to somebody and they're in debt because somebody died on the clock, and so we're like, oh, so why did you get all this debt? And he's like, well, it's the closest relative gets all the debt that person had that died. And we're like, oh, it must be hard losing family. And the person's like, he's not family. We're like, well, I thought you said like relative. And like, no, relative, the closest relative to where that person died. Which
yeah.
This game's really clever, and I'm not selling it well, but
no, I got what you're saying though.
The dialogue's awesome in this game.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard it being compared to like the dialogue of Borderlands 3, which is, oh man, Borderlands 3. but that's a different story. Yeah, I'll probably finish just like a regular campaign on PC, and yeah, I can see myself absolutely buying this game on Switch, mainly for the replayability.
Right.
It's a really hard game. Okay, let me take that back. It's really hard for the first couple of hours because I cannot get anything done and I cannot kill anything, and eventually I got over some hump, and then all of a sudden
it clicked.
It's way too easy now, and I'm playing on hard, so
Angel, I guess you won't like it.
So there's some balancing issues that this game is going to have to take care of. I'm not playing on the hardest difficulty, which is called Supernova, which is basically the hardcore mode of Fallout New Vegas, where you got to sleep, you got to eat.
It's like as if you're really living.
Yeah, and like if your companions die, that's it.
Right.
Which would be a shame because the first companion that you get in that game is actually like a very interesting character. Yeah, it's like I said, Idiocracy is probably the closest thing.
That's what I picked up on from the trailers. Like the trailers are really well cut. Like those are some solid trailers.
Yeah, I'm happy this game exists. I was really disappointed by Fallout 4. So this game essentially being like New Vegas was already pretty wacky. This game's even wackier. Some of the creature designs are a little uninspired, but I'm not playing this game for the creatures. I'm playing it mainly for the story.
Right.
And the story so far is pretty good. Like, I got no qualms with it. So I'm looking forward to like actually seeing this game on the Switch. And probably replaying it a couple times because it's only supposed to be like a 30-hour game. But
you should be able to beat this one.
But like I said, it was designed for replayability just because of like all the different trees that you can take with a story. Like I said, if you snitch on the professor that like unlocked you, apparently the game changes a lot. So very excited.
Interesting. Yeah, it seems like a good fit for Switch since it's very dialogue driven, which makes it easy to play on a Switch.
Yeah.
Well, cool. That's one to keep an eye out for.
Yeah. I'll get into it more when it actually releases.
Right. Yeah. So think of that as a sneak preview. So that was an interesting set of impressions because we had our usual full impression, or as full as we do, of a game. We had like an early look at a game, and then we had like early impressions of a game that is already out. But it's different. It's kind of cool. Anyway, I think that pretty much does it. Unless there's any other topics you guys want to bring up on this lovely episode 215 of Round Town Podcast. No. Okay. Well, our next one is going to be on November 24th, and it's going to be packed with Pokemon goodness. We'll have Sword and Shield impressions. We'll have that's really the only Pokemon goodness we're going to have. We're going to have Sword and Shield impressions, but we're also going to have some other games, and we're going to have we have some contests. We have one that's been brewing for a while that's actually going to happen, and we have another one that's going to follow that one. It's the holiday season. We got to give our gifts to you, so that's what it's going to be. It's also our anniversary episode. I don't know what that's going to mean yet, but feel free to send the happy anniversaries in time for that if you want. I don't know. Actually, if you want to wish us a happy anniversary, go leave a review on the various podcast services that offer reviews, because that will help boost us and get us more opportunities to cover more games for you guys. So, that pretty much does it. To make sure you don't miss the episode, as always, you can follow us on Twitter at Ram Nintendo. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, YouTube. We are randomnintendo.com. We're also now on Pandora officially, so that's kind of cool. And you can also follow us individually on Twitter. I'm JSR7. Angel is Wero, WEIRO_O. Kevin is KVN Gomez. And as is now tradition at the Random Nintendo Podcast, we leave Kevin with the final word.
Put Jim Carrey in Smash, you cowards.